caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, like girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Dan Le Batard Show. Sans Dan Le Batard. But don't worry. I got you. I'm here with my dog, Hawk. And it's not just him. We got a whole bunch of people. Give me some music, Chris. In the EP chair.
Oh, this is nice.
It's Chris Cody, a.k.a. Christmas Cody, a.k.a. Big Red.
Am I supposed to say anything? Nope. Back to you.
What's good? I like that. Next to him, we got Roy, the Iceman, a.k.a. the boy toy, Roy Bellamy.
What's up?
Love you, Roy. In the back row behind Roy, we got Jessica Smetana, a.k.a. Smetty Wop, a.k.a. Trap Queen.
Smetty
Why
gang.
you still dapping?
Smetty gang, we dab forever.
Just waiting for them to put me on. Oh,
There it is. Davin, I see you.
Let's go.
Across from them, we'll jump that. We got my guy, my security blanket, Charlie Kravitz, a.k.a. the Vanilla Snack. Hit him with a salute.
What up?
Curly, Justin Timberfake.
Let's go.
And our number one go-to guys, the quickest man in history, quite possibly the most talented dude in this building right now.
Mm-hmm.
He also dressed like he cared about himself, which I appreciate, which is rare for the Le Batard Show.
What?
It's Andrew, the Hawk, Hawkins.
Let's go.
And Mike.
I thought that was Mike. I thought that was Mike's intro until you said Hawk. I'm like, man, he is quick. Quick as a whip.
fastest man to do what?
No,
care about myself.
He's witty.
Oh, man. Hey, guys. Going to have a good show today. I want to start with some football because it's me and Hawk in here
Let's talk ball.
talking football.
Real ball knowers in here.
Hut, hut.
And it's the only sport that, like, this country really cares about. All the other sports are tertiary. There's one sport that's main, and that's football, and we finna get some more of it, supposedly. So, Hawk, 18 games.
I don't see a lot of supportive faces
Yeah.
as that comment.
Yeah.
It was
Hold on.
Smetty went right to the laptop. Roy was checking his emails.
It's
I
like
don't feel good about
it's
it.
like a niche sport equinox going on recently, especially down here in South Florida. So,
Yeah.
So don't start with football?
But we like if it was in terms of like country NIL, football
Yeah.
would take like 80% of the pot, right?
it does an actual NIL.
Yeah, so
It also contributes 100%.
I
of
guess
the
it doesn't
pot,
need
so,
an
I
analogy.
mean,
You're right.
You want to start with some niche sports equinox? Like
No,
that?
run the damn ball. Start with football.
Run the rock.
FB dive.
Yeah. So the 18-game thing is something we've been talking about for a while. Even back when you and I were in the league, they put it on the table in the 2011 negotiations, and we promptly slapped that shit right off the table.
Yep.
But we knew it was coming back around because the NFL has a ton of power and leverage, and money is what matters.
Yes.
So what are you thinking, Hawk, about the 18-game schedule that the owners are now at the owner meeting and the Breakers discussing it today?
Number one, we're old as hell, right? I think this is the overarching lesson here is that we're all old, not you guys as well, not just me and Neek being fossil football players. Because when they introduced it, it seemed so ridiculous. But here's the tactic that the league always uses and it always works. I remember I think it was 2012. They were like, hey, we're going to mandate that you wear knee pads.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an uproar. And that sounds crazy. Everyone was like, what? We got to wear knee pads? I'm going to be so slow. And we, tried to revolt against having to put – and it's like little fake pads that you can't even see. But just the fact that we had to put them on because we didn't have to wear knee pads. It was just thigh pads. and I don't think thigh pads were a thing.
No.
There was no thigh pads, no knee pads.
We
So
would rip the thigh pads out because the thigh pads were made of like cushioning around a tiny plastic plate, and everyone would cut the plate out and just put the like plate in your thighs or wear nothing.
Or wear nothing. So I just wore shoulder pads on a game day. Yeah. That's it. Just shoulder pads and a helmet. I would wear a helmet. That was a smart thing to do. But I remember there being an uproar with all the players that they had to put these pads into their pants. And then over time, as the league got younger and guys came in and it was just the norm, no one ended up caring about it by the time that I retired. And so that's the genius of the league. Introduce 18 games at a point where everybody says how ridiculous it is. But now for the guys that are coming into the league, the young guys, they've been hearing it so long, they know it's coming, and it's not as big of a deal to them.
I agree with that as the league strategy. And the league's other strategy is also be bigger and more powerful.
Yeah, also have all the leverage.
Yeah, and so like,
do you want money or not?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I think we should actually get into how the increased revenue is going to be split because it's going to go disproportionately to the stars and quarterbacks, while the people who are going to take the brunt of the wear and tear are not those guys. But I would like to also focus on how old we are because
it's a good topic. You
know what? I remember coming up and learning that at one point there was only 14 games, and I was like, man, what? That's crazy. And to imagine that I played in the league will soon have 18 games. I would have played, like, you think about that. You think about the players who played in a 14-game league. When we were in a 16-game league, I thought about them like they were fossilized. I am going to be a guy very soon when they had 18 games, and they're going to be like, oh, you play – they used to have 16 games? I'm like, yeah, we used to have 16 games.
When did they have 14? Because I'm not going to lie, you just dropped that bomb on me live on air. I guess I assumed
when the Dolphins went undefeated
that at some point, yes, there were less games, but I never thought that there were like living people.
1978 was when they switched to
78.
So we
Jeez.
Yeah, this is not the smart idea to talk about how old we are to start this show.
But it does actually help out people that are feeling old in that this finally gets us to that President's Day Monday Super Bowl hangover. So most of the nation.
This is how they're going to sell it. They're going to be like, look, all the fans want Monday after the Super Bowl off. You selfish players.
Just like that, I'm in. I didn't think about that either. You guys are. Well, you should work for the committee. Damn.
Well, you picked an industry, and you're probably going to have to work that day.
We've always had it off. Now we're not going to have it off.
Ah, shit.
But I need it. It's okay that I have to work.
Games.
I need more viewers.
No more games.
So there's a couple different avenues that we could go down, and I think the idea of flooding the market with a product eventually has some sort of backlash is one way to go, but I don't feel like we got any takers. I was talking to Charlie about this yesterday, and he looked at me like I was stupid because I know how ridiculous it sounds that giving more football could be a bad thing because I know how much we all love football.
Yeah.
However, the final week of the season last year, there was a lot of trash on my TV screen.
Yeah.
Right? I think we're to the point where we're going to need 2 bye weeks now.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I like where your head's at, Roy.
The 2 bye weeks is not going to solve the fact that there are going to be more irrelevant games at the end of the season, and there's a possibility that we could get tired of football. Am I crazy? Am I crazy, Chris?
No. By week 17 this year, I'm like, I'm good on Red Zone. See you next week for the playoffs.
Really?
I mean, there are going to be some seasons that we're going to ask ourselves, why'd we do this? The last 3 weeks of the season are meaningless, but then it's going to work out with the numbers that there's going to be a crazy wild card chase, and you're still going to have that issue, but it's not like that hasn't existed. I mean, the Jets have been playing terrible football the last month of the season that hasn't really mattered for quite some time. Hawk, in your playing career,
thanks for pointing that out.
I mean, you would take those trips down to Jacksonville, and you'd be like, all right, I guess we have to play.
Yeah, no, for
People
sure.
did buy tickets.
We could have just kept it centered at the organizations I played for, or like generalized it. But I'm glad you specifically pointed out Hawk.
I mean, if
in your career,
if anyone has experience,
there's been so many games I've watched you, and I'm like, what has my life become?
How many games did you play where it was like, all right, this means something?
So all week ones.
Yeah, week ones were.
You'd get up for week one.
It was like that same intro Nick just did. It was me every week one. With the Bengals, I played some meaningful games.
Yeah, you made it to playoffs.
With the Browns in my years, it was rough. It was a tough go.
It's tough. Like before the leaves change, your season's done.
Yeah, man, it's still hot outside. It was like, damn, who's first overall pick? They're saying next year. No, okay.
Who am I gonna
You're
meet?
looking at mocks in September.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Like, I hope there's no hot receivers. Out there.
It's like there's not any really diminutive receivers that are super fast coming out, is there? Okay, good. Whew.
I was fortunate enough to not have those situations, but I mean, I guess I'm not a math major, but my thought would be that if you extend the season, there's more of a chance for you to end up with more teams that are out of it, and that's what I'm concerned about more than anything. And that aside, is it possible? And like, this is a broader business question, probably, that there's a bunch of different ways to like kill a business. And maybe I'm wasting my time and I'm going down a really ridiculous path. But one of those ways is always tied to greed.
Yep.
And
Oversaturation.
Yeah, and like as we have the NBA, and like I know we're not going to 82 football games, and we have Major League Baseball, I think we all acknowledge that the NBA would be far more entertaining if we had us a 60-game season.
But aren't we already, if there was a tipping point for oversaturation, wouldn't we have met it? It's not like ESPN covers the NFL like
I think
all the time, even during the off season. We're just talking about one additional week. I really don't think it means ESPN covers the sport more.
I think we figured it out. As you guys are talking, I think I've cracked the code, because I remember, and it's a bad take, I don't forget when it was, but Mark Cuban saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. In 10 years, the NFL is going to – and that is not the case. And even though we get, like, late in the season annoyed by bad football or whatever the situations are, the ratings are as big as they ever have. And it's because it's not greed if you're addicted. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, too much.
That's a fair point.
There's not too much, like, crack.
There's never been a dope dealer on the corner.
Yeah, it's like, man,
hey,
how am I going to move this?
Well,
Goodness gracious.
this is also coming at a time where the NFL's finally agreed to let private equity invest in its teams for the first time.
Yay, private equity makes everything better.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen with the NBA with their European expansion. It's certainly going to be happening in college football. Private equity has been sniffing around college football programs for years at this point. It's the reality of the situation.
I guess to your point, Mike, and Hawk and I both work at ESPN, and we talk about football year round. So adding a week of more football, like, we're going to be talking about it whether they're games or not. At least it'll be another week of a few meaningful games, I guess.
I don't want to just like bypass what Mark Cuban said 10 years ago, because when he said it 10 years ago,
it seemed right.
The league was facing issues. A lot of people put it on the Kaepernick stuff, but you had that going on simultaneously where the games just weren't good. Think of who the Super Bowl champion was one year with the Denver Broncos. Quarterback play wasn't great. The league had to do something about the sport. And they did, and that's
they
probably
got Taylor Swift today, Travis Kelce.
Yeah. That's exactly what they did, and honestly, that's where Roger Goodell earned his hefty salary, because everyone was saying fire Roger Goodell. He had the Ravens Ray Rice thing going on. It was a league in turmoil. And they righted the ship big time.
I mean, it was also thought like we were coming out of the concussion stuff, and people we like cared for a hot second. It's like, hey,
it was a quick minute, wasn't it, that we cared?
And then
remember play football? Like, what do we do with this now?
Yeah.
And I remember, so like I guess we all have these things that you get like unreasonably attached to, and as someone who played in the NFL, like I'm like an NFL guy, and I remember the Mark Cuban quote, and he called us hoggy. He was like, it's looking real hoggy. Like, who are you talking about?
You call it hoggy, fam.
Hoggy, bro.
All of a sudden, you started defending the things you've been standing up for as the PA president.
Yeah, and I text Roger and was like, you know what? Let's take Christmas.
Let's take Christmas.
Let's take Christmas.
Ours.
Shut that man up. Take Christmas from him. The idea when it first got put on the table, we slapped it off the table in large part because we wanted to make advancements in health and safety. But I think sometimes we touch on this from a union standpoint. We always assume that there are two parties, the union and the league, that are of equal power that can have a negotiation. But once I heard 18 games was on the table and 18 games meant more money, I knew at some point the league was going to get it done.
Yeah, you got to
get
it done. Too much money.
The challenging part about it, though, is when you talk about adding more money, and it's going to be a lot more money in the salary cap for everybody, which is nice, but it's all going to go to the quarterbacks and into the top-level receivers, which is, I guess, why the NBA ends up with a max salary provision to make sure that the guys who are in the league that are also going to be in football's case, going to be taking the brunt of the injuries and hits and all that for this, will get some of that.
May I ask you,
money.
was there ever any conversation? Running backs often find themselves in this very frustrating position because they'll just find a new one in the draft and replace you. And the statistical output above replacement at that position, you can find a lot of value. Was there ever any talk within the Players Association to have like salary floors for tenured players that excelled at their position? And also, what do you do with a case study like Travis Hunter, who could potentially play two positions because the league tries to, with the franchise tag, put you in a box?
The franchise tag is exhausting for a lot of players. It helps out some players, but for most of them, it gets in the way. And the idea of, we have this conversation a lot about running backs, because the idea of positional value, when you are so good that you're the centerpiece of the offense, like I would argue that Christian McCaffrey at his peak is worth as much as any top receiver because the offense is built around him. To your point, there were a bunch of different proposals made in the union before we would take him to the league about how to protect salaries for specific groups. A salary floor was never one that was considered, because the assumption is, particularly in the running back position, is if you raise a salary floor for a player, you're gonna get him cut, especially at a position that feels like it's pretty interchangeable. Some of the other things that were entertained more realistically was creating a separate pool just for quarterbacks, because that was always the scary thing, was like, oh, the quarterback's gonna take all the money, ain't gonna be nothing left for any of us.
And that's the truth. And that is how it goes. And that's the problem, even with because there's league minimums. Like if you've been in the league so long, it's like if you're an 8-year, and it's the same issue. It's okay, do I pay this 8-year veteran to be a fourth, fifth receiver, or do I just get a young guy who is half the price and maybe not as good, maybe not as seasoned, maybe can't step in as a pinch as a starter, but he can run down on kickoff, and I'll take whatever the delta is on those two things. That's a lot of the issue, and it's such a system where even the owners, like, the quarterback is the face of the league, because when you get into negotiations, you don't need all 1,800 to see it your way. You need the faces that you've pushed, and let me keep them happy. And if it's harder for them to fight because they don't want to walk away from $50 to $60 million a year, then we'll always have the leverage we need to push it over the top.
Do you see the potential for collusion when it comes to someone like Travis Hunter, who plays multiple positions, who can play multiple positions? I know, speaking to a couple of personnel people, the teams like him at one specific position, and it kind of feels awfully convenient for the NFL to not have that problem ever really pop up on their radar.
Yeah, it's the the Shohei situation where the NFL, there are these events that happen that you never expect to happen, but so you're not prepared for them. And Travis Hunter, I think, would qualify for one. So I'm not sure how a team would actually handle it if Travis Hunter became a free agent. My assumption is that they're not going to, like, willingly pay him any surplus, even if he's the best corner and the best receiver in the league. They're going to use their leverage. They're going to use their franchise tag. They're going to use whatever leverage they have, the fifth-year option, in order to avoid doing that. Like, it's going to require Travis Hunter. My guess is, and we're going way into the future, but if Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter balls out for 6 years and plays on both sides of the ball and it's going to require him to actually sit out, because what they're going to do is be like, all right, best case scenario, you are the best receiver. We'll now pay you, because receivers get paid more than corners, so we'll pay you higher.
Rightfully so. Continue. Sorry, dude.
No, it broke my heart, because
I
the reason why it hurt me is because I wanted to disagree, but I actually don't disagree.
You can disagree by saying what's harder, though.
It's harder.
It's way harder. You know where you're going.
I mean, you know what? Be the teacher.
I only know where I'm going if I'm dropping in a zone.
Be the teacher's hard too. They don't get compensated. No one gets compensated for how hard their job is. They get compensated for how valuable they are. And you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah, Patrick Surtain, very valuable. Justin Jefferson, more valuable.
Selling tickets out there, baby.
I hate it. It is
moving units.
I hate it when we had that argument about could NFL guys play in the NBA or NBA guys play in the NFL? Because
I fought the good fight, man. I was fighting hard.
I did not fight the fight.
I fought the fight because I had the kid on a united front, and then guys like you were just like, yeah, no, we ain't graceful enough. I'm like, come on, man.
I couldn't. I
all
couldn't.
subjective.
There's some things that I could bring myself to lie about. But if you've ever been around at I ran into Julius Peppers in Aspen, and he played basketball at Carolina.
Can we get a look at me, Leroy, for that? Can we get you're on the board, so you got to hit it.
Oh, I don't know what, but hold on.
And we don't got to get into the whole look at me, Leroy situation.
No, I think we
versus
should.
Look at me, Louie, and there's plenty of black people named Louie, Dan, if you're listening.
Look at me, Leroy.
And the voice that you use makes it feel a little bit more racist.
Did you
like,
You growled it.
That's a white guy too.
Hold on. Hold on. He put some blues in it.
That was country. That was a Nashville white dude, man, which is okay. I'm
Memphis.
just saying, if you're going to go Leroy to say this is for black people,
Yeah,
you
but
probably got to also diversify your VOs. Get a new voiceover guy for it to. If it was a black person,
there was an
saying
executive
it,
order that said we keep the same guy.
oh, that's crazy. See, that's the part. That's what it is. If that was a black dude saying it, I wouldn't feel as like, I don't know about this.
And it's not only that it's not a black dude. He trying to. It feel like he put some pain in his voice.
Yeah.
Leroy.
Play it one more time. Let me inspect this.
Look at me, Leroy.
Would it be less or more racist if it was hip hop behind it? If it was like, yo, look at me, Leroy. And it's just, boom.
I think
Would that be less?
Like an 80s MC.
Yeah. Okay. New
if you
rule.
hear the oh baby mama, look at me, Leroy.
All right. From now on, only black guys or black girls on the show can hit "Look at Me, Leroy." Dan can't use that. It's a great. We'll use the soundbite, but only Roy or guests that are black can use the "Look at Me, Leroy."
What if there has to be at least 2 people of African descent
Okay.
in the building? Because that's the part that throws me more than anything is like when it's one dude here
Yeah, that feels.
and all you whites
It feels like an attack.
is out here like, look at me, Leroy. Ha ha, that's funny. High five, high five. Like, no.
Yeah.
If
Let's be clear. This was not a collaborative effort to make this specific sound. This was
Who
one
it?
person's
How did
idea.
this come about?
This was a 4 a.m. email from Dan saying, I want more than just look at me, Louie.
Was this an effort to like
He also
for
wanted
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yes, he also wanted to look at me, Louise, which
I think it's there. We got a whole list of them there.
all right, should I run through all the look?
I don't feel like you should hit certain buttons. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I'm okay with you going
I'm
Leroy.
worried there's going to be a
even
gong
Louis.
and cultural appropriation.
There's a
like,
lot
let's
going
just,
on.
like, not do it.
I know so many black Louis.
That's true. We didn't have to like.
top
Lou
5
Armstrong
list.
is like
Top
the
5
most-
list. There's so many famous.
Who's the most
ones.
famous Lou? I mean, Louis Armstrong is up there.
Lou Bacharach.
He's up there. I mean, every black mechanic I've ever went to is named Lou.
Farrakhan.
Who's Lou Bacharach?
I'm telling you.
Lou Backroad
Maybe.
down at the car dealership.
I
That
know
is
Burt
a famous-
Bacharach.
Look at me, Lou.
Did you just make Burt Bacharach Lou Bacharach? And like everyone was like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
The creator of the card game.
That guy.
As
I
the
love casinos.
you made a guy named Lou Bacharach the most famous of Lou's.
That was the joke to be an obscure one down here.
Right.
But it's
In
not
their
a,
cars. A couple people in South Florida are like, oh, that's a good one.
But I
It's
don't think
Backroad.
this person exists.
I don't even know who that is. I've never
I
heard
don't know. I was.
Oh,
meant-
Burt Bacharach has a lot of hip hop influence.
I was busy making people uncomfortable with.
Yeah,
with,
that was
with,
a-
with my.
I didn't even know where to go with that one,
Yeah, I
bro. I
didn't
ain't gonna
either.
lie. I mean, you know.
I just wanted it to sit there. I mean, there's so many. I just wanted it to sit there. You did it perfectly. I remember last time I was down here, I was teaching David Sampson how to do a show. Gosh, I love being here with Hawk, man. It's so much easier. I don't got to teach this man how to react to when someone says something awkward or funny or silly. It's like, yeah, if you don't know what to do, shut up.
That's it.
And let it sit there because it then becomes funny.
Yep. That's it.
Why did you say that? That's the David roll. You just-
That was a damn good impression. Wow.
Awesome.
That
man.
didn't help the show, Chris. Why'd you do that?
I'm sitting here thinking you're hitting buttons over
Yeah.
there.
You
playing
redeemed
it.
yourself with that one.
I see
That's
you, Big
good.
Red. Get him,
Yeah.
Big Red. Did
That's
anyone
good.
ever call you Big Red?
Go for it.
I don't know. I didn't know. You're
works.
You're tallish, red.
Yeah, Red would be your football nickname.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
We should go through everyone's football because everyone gets a football nickname when you play early on. Like my son is named Cali because he moved from California, and for 3 years now he's just known as Cali. Never mind that he lived there for like 8 months.
It don't matter.
You know, he's from Ohio for sure, but he's known as Cali
Yeah.
to everyone here.
But that's because he lived there for 8 months. That's 8 months longer than everybody else on the football
Facts.
team.
And I don't change it because as a football player who's playing in South Florida, to be knowing that you came from Cali to South, come on, that's a scholarship waiting. So I let it rock.
Yeah, it is.
Make no mistake. I'm like, yes, we'll take that for sure.
I know, like, hockey nicknames is like you just add a Y to things, right?
Yeah, or an S.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Give me an example, because I don't. What is that like? Give
He'd
me
be
a-
Foxy.
Yeah.
Foxy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Foxy just bundled a bunch of pigeons.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Is that racist?
I don't know if I.
Racist.
I don't know if it's racist.
Absolute yard sale out there with the fellas.
Huh? What are you doing? I don't know what any of that means, but I loved it.
Foxy.
Yeah, I feel like football nicknames, sometimes you get a little Y action, sometimes you get the first syllable of your name, but you also, I think we do like the distinguishing characteristic.
Yeah.
It's like if you're just moved here from Cali, then you're going to be Cali. Or if you got a big head, you're going to be Noggin.
It's not that deep.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, but I mean it's deeper than hockey nicknames. Hockey nicknames is lazy. Throw a Y on that thing.
Yeah.
We
And
gonna give you something else.
But there's also not like politically correct at all.
No.
So you
So
can get into some dicey.
yeah, I was looking around
situation.
this room and all the nicknames that I came up with when
when it first came.
Yeah, I
When
was
you
like-
got back into football mode, it was like, okay, I can't
Oh
say
yeah, I get.
that. Yeah.
On my show, Charlie and I have a rule where you can ask for permission to go back to the 90s.
Okay.
And if permission is granted,
you get the full experience.
you get to say things, but it's understood
Only
that
for
you-
90 seconds.
Yeah, you go back to the 90s.
That's a good.
The
that's
90
good.
for 90.
Yeah.
90 for 90.
And
I
so
like
in a
that.
text, I forgot I went back to 90s, so I just instituted that I can apply for retroactive 90s pardons because I was Charlie, I know what we should do.
Give it to me.
We were bragging. We were bragging about our Uber ratings, and so I was challenging Charlie to put his Uber rating up versus my Uber rating.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to spoil it. You know what we should do? I want everybody to go find your Uber rating, and I don't yell it out, but I want everyone to find your Uber rating.
I do Ubers for groups a lot.
Oh, hush
Like,
up,
when I'm, like,
hush.
sending
Whoa,
people- No, I'm gonna
okay.
Same excuse.
Nope.
Same excuse.
All the points you just got from your impersonation,
They're
you
gone.
lost.
They're gone.
Okay,
All
by
right.
trying to give disclaimers before you pull out your Uber rating. Just
And
pull
control
it
who
out.
asks for the aux cord. It's just like 8 people there.
You
One of
can't
them's
control
going to
yourself?
ask for the aux.
All right, everybody find your Uber rating,
All right, I'm
write it
looking.
down, and I'm going to do Charlie. I would like you, maybe we'll do it next segment, to guess the order of everyone's Uber rating. So based on what you know about the people in here, I want you to guess the order of the Uber ratings.
this.
And I would like also, people at home, we'll give you some time, next segment, or at work, wherever you are.
Yeah.
I want you to guess too.
Hopefully at work.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
Actually,
not
you're
at
right.
work.
Yeah, man. Live
I
it up.
don't know. Do what you got to do, baby.
your thing.
What
I've
do
got
people
takes.
do listening to this show? Do you sit and watch it?
Maybe you're. Yeah, I hope you're listening at work. That's better than
Right. I mean, I guess I don't know.
make them pay you to listen to these funnies, man.
In a new era of media, does anybody just sit and, like, my kids will go on YouTube and actually just watch YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Do people do that with this show where they put it on and, like, full attention, I'm watching this? Or is it like a side screen action?
I've heard a lot of people say at places where YouTube's not blocked on their work computer, they'll like listen to it and sort of have it in the corner of their screen while they're working. A lot of people also say they listen on their way to work or from work.
I want some tweets of people showing us their setup or telling us what they do while they're listening to the show. And I also want some tweets of you guys guessing the list.
You're going to get a lot of toilets. If you
Most
send
people
in where
say, yes,
where you're listening to the
toilet.
show.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Most
That's
common
fine.
answer.
I don't care. I don't be on Twitter. I just want some
good.
engagement, baby.
Yeah, that's it. Let it rock.
But also, I'll give you the list of names in here if you're not watching so that you can make your own list at home. So it's me, Andrew Hawkins. I'm Dominique Foxworth. Andrew Hawkins.
Yeah.
You got Chris
That's
Cody.
a weird way to introduce yourself.
It's
but-
me. I mean, I wish.
We already
The
did
D-O-double-G.
intros. We did the intros already.
Oh, we did the intros, but like
Why
now
are you redoing them?
I'm not redoing them. I just was like, okay, it's fine. They remember.
You know
He's
what?
in his ESPN
remember?
mode. They teach him at ESPN that you just keep repeating because
reset.
Time
people
and temp.
just jump in. They don't go back and listen.
Yeah.
I think one of our show's biggest flaws is sometimes we get so swept up in something that everyone is just confused. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you need to reset,
Agreed.
tell everyone what the assignment is.
They all don't understand what we're doing.
If we're doing this next segment, we can include Lucy because she will be joining us.
Ooh.
Do we have a look at me, Lucy?
We should.
There's a
That would
Louise.
actually make more sense in this whole.
Look at me, Lucy.
Okay.
You see, there's no gravel.
I heard
there's
gravel.
no gravel.
Don't do my man
No.
Andrew Streeter like that.
No.
Wait, play it again.
His name is
Did
Andrew.
himself.
I just said his name. Maybe I shouldn't have done
Yeah,
that.
probably not. Just threw him under the bus. Hold on. I'm gonna play Leroy and Lucy again, and this will determine whether Andrew took us back to the 90s or
Yeah.
nah.
Let's see what he did.
Look at me, Leroy.
He tried to make it deeper. He's Leroy.
The ending was a little. It
Yeah.
had a little of that to it. Let's hear Lucy real quick.
It felt like he wanted us to believe he was the descendant of slaves. He clearly is not.
There was a producer in the control room saying one more time with stank.
Put some stank on it, Andrew.
Look at me, Lucy.
Chris,
Damn it, you're right.
you tried to defend my man, but my man brought no pain.
Yeah.
with Lucy, there was no pain.
He didn't.
That reminds me. So I mentioned that I saw Pep at Aspen, but on the flight home from Aspen, I was
Julius Peppers. We're resetting.
Julius
Otherwise,
Peppers,
I think it's
I
Pep
s-
Guardiola.
I saw
Pep
Pep
Hamilton.
in Aspen.
Coach Pep Hamilton.
No one's thinking Pep Hamilton.
No. Okay.
one's
Very
thinking-
specific to me.
Remember when Pep Hamilton got an interview just like a week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give it time.
man.
He'll pop back up.
I-
He'll get back in the cycle.
I love another game that we played last time I was here was Member Win. We gotta at some point later we gotta play Member Win. It's a great game.
I like that.
You just talk about things that happened that you think other people forgot.
My man Pep. That was my
Crazy
offensive
season.
coordinator in 2016.
He's the OC at Maryland now.
There you go.
Go Terps.
Go Terps,
We got
man.
some Maryland topics coming up pretty soon.
What a tease.
Also, when I was a kid, we had a
Stay right there. Don't go anywhere.
Don't you dare.
we talk Maryland Terp sports, baby.
They were feisty against South Carolina.
Hey,
They
so
were.
when I was a
They
kid,
were feisty.
really quick to put a button on the nickname conversation that just came to me. We had a kid who didn't have a pinky, and his nickname was Nubs. And to this day, we call him Nubs. But that's football.
Damn, man.
So
I mean, usually in sports, they go the other way. They might just call him Pinky.
yeah,
they
I thought they'd call
Either
him
way.
Pinky, and then they would call you the brain, and
Pinky
because
and
like
the brain.
you kind of short and it become a thing. I love that show.
North.
I
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. Which also makes you old for that reference. But
That's
go ahead.
fine. I'm old. I'm good. I'm fine
You
with
can stay here for 90 seconds.
it. We are in the 90s.
Damn.
So I got a few more seconds, and I'll tell you about a nickname that I remember from my childhood. There was a kid in our class in like 4th or 5th grade that couldn't quite control his bladder, and he peed on himself a lot. And his dad got him a Ninja Turtle watch that had a timer on it to remind him to go to the bathroom all the time. And so, like through 4th, 5th grade, he peed on himself probably, 5 to 10 times. And so we called him PP Greg.
Okay.
That man was called PP Greg all the way through high school. I don't know where PP Greg is now, but then it changed to just PP. He don't got no P's in his name.
Just PP.
He in high school. Asking somebody can he take her to the prom, and his name is PP.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's not a.
It's a damn shame, man.
It's tough.
It's messed up. My college nickname was Matchbox when I got to school because they were like, "Oh, you're like a little Matchbox." So literally, everyone just called me Matchbox. Like that was just my nickname.
An arsonist.
It's like, hey, it's
That's
just right on the nose with it, man. Just
Should've
like,
worn
you
number 20.
You fast.
Turned
and
it
you
on
just
those
go.
white guys.
Oh man, could you imagine my fan base if I'd have went Matchbox 20
That's incredible.
and then got a NASCAR deal as well and just had a 20 jacket?
Oh,
That's
man.
just.
It's a hot one.
It'd have been a look at me, Leroy. Yeah.
Most famous Lou. Are we still playing that game?
What you got
Lou
for us?
Alcindor.
Oh,
Come on, man.
Well, I mean,
So that doesn't count.
It's the only one that
Of
can
course.
compete with Garrick.
Well,
I
Gossett.
thought Garrig up there.
It's all connected though because he also changed his name.
yeah, I was about to say Lewis.
Lewis Hamilton. Most famous.
We
Lewis.
can't. That's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different game.
Luau, dang. I heard a dang.
But his name is Luau.
Wow.
Nickname Lou. You know these nicknames are Lou. You got to call him Lou. You got to one syllable that thing.
Lou
Every
Will.
time. Lou Will.
I just thinking of other nicknames from college that I'll tell you during the break.
Okay.
I'll tell you during the break.
Matchbox.
So that's the thing about the nicknames is Matchbox is a fire ass nickname.
It is.
But you can't ask like how'd you get that nickname? Because,
I just always thought I was fast as hell.
Yeah, that's
Which kinda
smart.
was the
That's smart because it's like
That's why I got it because I was like he's so. I'm sure they wouldn't call me Matchbox if I was getting
Yeah.
strapped.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
we
saying?
don't waste time getting nicknames.
Yeah, you don't
to
get
bums.
nicknames
Yeah, you gotta,
as freshmen.
I had a pretty bad nickname in college too, at first. So like I was a freshman and I played pretty well as a freshman towards the end of the year, and there was a Jay-Z song out at the time where they said Little Bumba got A-Rod numbers. So one of my an older safety started calling me Bumba, and then I learned that this means ass.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, no, that's not. I think that it came from a good place.
Yeah.
The other nickname that I remember where I was actually the butt of jokes was one of my first jobs was a camp counselor. And it was like at a residential camp. And they had cabin leaders and counselors. And I was a younger person. I was 14, so I was a pretty responsible counselor. And the cabin leader was like, you know what? I'm going to call you a cabin leader in training. And I was like, that's tight. I'm responsible cabin leader in training. Then he started calling me by the acronym.
That's. Whew.
It's free McDonald's for life. Featuring Hollywood showrunner and Le Batard intern Mike Schur.
This theoretical magic card that gives you free KFC for life. So my late father-in-law, Regis Philbin, had this for McDonald's. So he did an ad, I think, for McDonald's sometime in like the early 90s. And as part of the thanks for this, he was given like a gold, not real gold, but like a gold colored like credit card thing that said like this card entitles Regis Philbin to free McDonald's for life. And he loved this. And so when my wife was a child, they would be on like a car trip somewhere and he would see a McDonald's and he would get really excited and he would pull in to the McDonald's and he would go inside and he kept this thing with him in his wallet and he would rush up to the counter and they would order a bunch of Big Macs and stuff. And then he would go, look, I get free McDonald's for life. And then the cashier would just stare at it confused because it was like, what is this? Why is Regis Philbin in this random McDonald's demanding free $3 hamburgers? And they would go, I've never seen this before. I have to call someone. And then like, it would be this confusing thing. And eventually he would go, it's fine, just here. And he would just pay for the food. And it never worked because it was just a very confusing object because it's not a thing that anyone has.
Love the idea of that employee showing up to work that day Yeah, that didn't come up in the
onboarding.
In the handbook.
Training. Yeah.
It's as if, though, honestly, if you think about it, it's as if a celebrity walked in and said, just with their hands, "Hey, I have this glowing orb. It entitles me to all your stuff for free."
Yeah. What are you supposed to do with that? And then who do you even call to see if this is real? And also, I like to believe that the card itself was more of a symbolic gesture. And then he was just like, no, this is great. I get free McDonald's. But then no one ever informed the thousands of employees around the globe that if you ever see this, you give this guy free food.
Classic Reg.
I wanna congratulate you, Mike Schur, and tell the audience now that you at Meadowlark Media have done such a good job as an intern on Stat of the Day that we are now promoting you to one Stat of the Day a day and also one Regis Philbin story a day now. So, okay, we are going to do that going forward. Yes,
Reg of the Day.
Reg of the Day and Stat of the Day.
And we get to go through your house and sell your possessions for charity.
Yes.
Well, but do you know how much
You can sell the Miro to Samson.
Yeah, wait a minute. Do you know how much stuff this guy has of Regis that we could sell for charity? Like this is I don't. But I feel I feel like we could rummage through all his things and give it all away to charity.
We're turning this into like a Regis Philbin estate sale now. All of a sudden.
Do you have anything from Regis, Mike?
I have some things. They're I would call them family heirlooms that aren't for
Let's
sale.
sell them.
But yeah,
His daughter too.
I've got a few things.
The McDonald's card still around? Or?
No, I've looked for the McDonald's card because I wanted to try it. And I wanted to see if I could find it, but I think it's long gone. I mean, it was like 30 years ago. But sure, yeah, sell whatever I've got in my house. It doesn't matter to
Billy,
me.
You lit up.
These things.
You lit up at the idea of a McDonald's All Access card that Regis Philbin had one.
Well, cause I'm glad that he told that story because that was going to be my exact question: was what happens when he actually tries to use it at a restaurant? Because there's no way that someone that's working behind the register was onboarded at McDonald's somewhere on a road trip in Middle America. Like, in the event that Regis Philbin shows up, this is what you do when he presents the card to you.
They should present their employees with everyone who has the card, though, right? I mean,
No,
But it's gonna. But that's the problem. It's like, okay, it's Regis Philbin and Mikhail Gorbachev, and like it's probably like a dozen people who are never, 11 of whom are never going to go into a McDonald's. So,
all right, Mike.
Mr. Gorbachev, order me a hash brown.
All right, Mike. Read you the day.
Wait, sorry. Was that a tear down? Was that a Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall parody?
That was limited fake Ronald Reagan, yes.
So they went to McDonald's together in this situation?
Yes, they did. Thank you for dissecting that.
can I say rest in power in this situation?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He kind of ended the Soviet Union.
Well, then rest in power.
Well, no, the hockey game did that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Mitt Romney has the McDonald's golden card, Mike. So does Bill Gates and Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett,
Yeah,
I
they
could
don't
actually
need
see using it.
Buffett goes there every day.
People unlikely to be going into a roadside McDonald's in like rural Pennsylvania.
Haven't you seen though that Warren Buffett is like crazy in that he sets aside like the exact change that he needs for his McDonald's breakfast every single morning? Like he'll go with his he has it figured out, like it's $1.37 because he orders the exact same thing every day and pays like to the penny so that he doesn't get change.
We back, and we are joined by the great Lucy Rodine. What's up, Luce? How are you?
Hey, I'm sad I'm not there.
I know. Last
I'm so
time
happy
you were
you're
here,
in Miami.
it was so much fun.
You've never said that before, Lucy.
I know.
That
This
was
is
a great
crazy.
opportunity to play Look at Me, Lucy.
What was it?
That was a great opportunity, was it not?
No.
No.
Do you not know how?
I know what the meaning of it is, but still, I'm like, off of the last conversation that we had about Look at Me Everything. No?
She's got to brag about something first.
Can't force it.
He knows. Get
Okay.
off
Can
my
you
man.
Explain the show to him.
Sorry.
I just talking
This is my
about.
first day, Lucy. It's good to see you.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
You been enjoying the tournament this year? The tournaments,
Yes.
I guess. The
Yes, question mark.
Why the question mark?
I think we've gotten like decent basketball, and that's all you can want out of a tournament. But obviously, there's a little there's a little like bummy vibe when you're like, oh, okay, here we are, all 1 seeds in the Final Four, no mid majors in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight for the men, and you're just like, well, this is okay.
So I had this argument earlier in the week about people talking about how they want the Cinderella. So what's the point? Why do you want the Cinderella? Is it because of the story or? Man, Charlie's gonna chime
This
in.
is the worst take that Dominique has. He's like,
trap.
oh, it's no fun when a Cinderella makes the Final Four. I just want to see absolute chalk. We're gonna have 1 seeds blowing out 2 seeds in the Elite Eight because then there are better teams.
If you guys don't listen to the Dominique Foxworth show, you'll know that Charlie sets these traps for me where
you set them yourself.
Where he completely mischaracterizes what I say and think that I'm just gonna walk into it, but I'm not gonna do that. So Lucy, how are you, Lucy? So the Cinderellas. What about the Cinderellas do you miss?
I don't know. It's just fun. Like, we haven't really had every year there's sort of a white boy of March where it's some mid-major school that has this like insane white guy who just shoots like crazy that the whole country falls in love with. He gets a NIL deal with Buffalo Wild Wings or a similar company. Then they lose in the Sweet 16 by a lot to a much better team. And you're like, man. That was awesome.
Remember
that
Dylan?
made me feel something. I sat behind Doug Edert at the Duke game and I was like, I forgot how great this made me feel. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, we have to root for the guys that like, you have everything.
Look at me, Lucy.
There it is.
That works.
My problem is I can tell the future.
Yes.
And I knew the brag was coming.
Yeah. So I guess Cooper Flag, when you say a white boy, you're not talking about actually a boy who's white. It's a different.
It can't be a white boy that we already know about. It has to be an unknown white boy, a white boy that appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah,
we knew about Cooper
Knipple.
Flag.
Yeah. Oh, no, because I believe
underdog Duke.
No,
he can't go to Duke.
His name can't be Cooper.
Yeah,
because Cooper is the white Jalen. If a black athlete is named Jalen, you know he's good.
You know he's nice.
You know he's the best on the team. And it's now the Cooper is the white guy version of that. So if it's a Cooper, it's
and
like,
that doesn't
that's
apply to the
that's
name
not what
Khan.
we mean.
Also, speaking of which, when I was watching that last game, I had to look up Khan Knipple just to check the middle name. I had to check the middle name.
Do you know his siblings' names?
No.
They're like he's one like of the themed families where all the siblings have a weird name that starts with K. So it's like Con, Kane. I'm just making them up. I don't remember, but it's
Clay,
Is there 3 of them by any chance?
Cole, but all with K's.
Is there 3 siblings
I think
total?
I think there's 5. I think they're like, we
goodness.
gotta get these numbers up.
So there was 3 at one point.
At one point.
There was 3.
Hold on.
There was 3 at one point.
His dad and uncles
nice.
were a
Played in the NBA.
3-on-3 basketball team.
The Flying Knipples.
The Flying Knipple brothers. That's incredible.
Oh, that is good.
That rules.
Yeah. Chris, you look surprised that
We're
I know
gonna have
about
to vet
Impressive.
Wiki here. It might be crowdsourced. I don't know.
No, the
The
Flying.
Flying Knipples.
Yeah, that was their nickname.
How'd you know it? You said it before he did.
Everybody knew about the Flying Knipples.
They were one of the best teams, urban legend in the 3-on-3 community.
Everyone loves the Flying Knipples, and if you want to go see them play, that's a great reason for a trip that you can book with Priceline. Are you dreaming about that trip? Book it and go to your happy price with Priceline to see the Flying Knipples.
Way to sell, Lucy.
Thank you.
Oh,
Everybody clap.
Now's when you talk again.
Yeah.
She did a thing, and now you go back to doing
Hawk,
the
do you
show.
want to explain
Everybody
the show to him?
Yeah, so when she does that, she's done.
Okay.
And then you come in with the continuation of the conversation.
Wait, hang on. I
Versus
haven't.
kicking it back to her
I have an
to double
update.
down on Priceline.
According to Sporting News, the Flying Knipple brothers were Con, Clint, Clay, and Cole, but his brothers are Kager, Kinston, Cash, and Kidman.
This is stupid.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What's stupid about it, Roy?
It's just dumb. I'm sorry. No,
No?
it's dumb. The theme is stupid. I'm sorry. We're not doing this.
How do we
Too many Ks?
Way too many Ks.
Way too many Ks.
How do we feel generally about like naming conventions for like my brother? Scott, his name starts with a D. So like, is that okay? If it's 2, it's just me and him, and
Okay.
both stars with
Yeah.
D. Is that okay? What about
Yeah,
people?
if it's just 2.
What about I'm going into some scary territory right now because I know that Hawk has twins.
Yeah.
What about when you have twins and they had like rhyming names? Did you go rhyming names with twins?
They don't rhyme.
Okay.
They are both AUs, Autumn and Aubrey. So it's
I
very close.
I feel like with twins though, I'll allow it.
Yeah?
Yeah, with
Okay.
twins I'll allow it because they got here at the same time. What you want me to come up with 2 names?
Yeah, my son's name is also Austin. Is that a little much?
Yeah.
Now we're reaching the
right.
quarter now.
You're
The quarter.
doing it.
You're going for something.
Yeah.
And your name is your
Andrew.
and their mother's
All right,
name.
I didn't want to come out and say this, but I am a part of the Knipple family, basically.
Oh, no.
Because all of my siblings are A's, and all of their kids are A's.
Wow.
And I can't even name them all because I would have to sit here and think about it. But it's Artrell, Alicia, Anika, Avery, Andrew. Our kids
Can you
are
do it in the
Aubrey,
DMX
Autumn,
voice?
Austin, Azare, Atalia, Aria, Aeneas, Adriana.
That's impressive, man.
And it goes on. And my mom's
Too many
name is
A's.
Aletha.
Too many
My
A's.
dad's name is Artrell. So it's literally like 4 generations of every A name you can imagine.
It can only be in the DMX voice from here on out.
Lucy, you have a brother, right?
I do.
Just one brother?
Jack.
Oh.
I have a brother and a sister, Jack and Kate.
Okay, so
Right down the middle there, Lucy. Lucy,
Yeah.
Jack, Kate.
And we're all 4 letters.
Those are
because
the-
my mom
those are the
said our last
Knipples,
name
by
was
the
so
way.
ugly.
Okay.
They're all going to go to Duke.
Oh,
Everyone.
no.
Oh,
Get used to them.
look at all those.
They're the
Knipples.
They're the Plumleys now.
The problem with making Con Knipple or trying to make him the white boy of the tournament is not just that he goes to Duke, is that the white boy of the tournament has to go professional in something else. Like
Yes.
Con Knipple's going to play in the NBA. You cannot. Has to. You have to see him later in life in a polo and slacks and be like, that name sounds familiar. This guy tried to sell me some insurance. Oh, yeah, you hit 6 threes in 1996.
Yep. I agree. You have to go that NCAA commercial where it says most of the NCAA athletes will go professional in something else. It has to fit that bucket. Otherwise, you're just another great white guy from college basketball that goes and plays in the NBA.
It should be
15 years.
in something else.
In something
It
else.
just peters out right there. It's something other than sports. No, in something
In
else.
something else.
Give him some time. Not everybody knows in college.
Remember Jack
Try to
Golke?
figure it out like the rest.
He played in the G. I
Great
think
white
he's
boy
still
of
in
the
the
month.
G.
He's
the
in the
G
G League
League
now.
He's averaging like 3 points a game.
Lucy, what am I to do with the SEC narrative, especially when 25% of the ACC teams made the Final Four on the men's side?
Oh, gosh.
There was someone at the Duke Alabama game that was screaming behind us the whole time of like, you mighty SEC, you don't know what you faced. Obviously, the SEC they were the best team or conference in college basketball this year, and the ACC is ass. Like, it's just objective. And they're just kind of entirely banking on Duke being a good program. I love sort of the theory of the ACC combining with the Big East. I don't know how valid that is, but I think that's something interesting to look at in the future. But
That's something that's been happening.
Yeah.
There have been real conversations there. It does make sense for basketball, no doubt.
The Big
they
East.
need it. Just they're so bad.
The Big East, I know the NIL, there are like new rules coming to NIL with revenue share coming up pretty soon. There's an article I read recently that talked about how the future of basketball in college could be heavily tilted towards the Big East because they do not have football teams. And so when the revenue share situation comes, each school is going to have about $20 million, right?
20, yep.
To split amongst all of their sports. And so in football, it's normally going to be like 80%, 75 to 80% towards football because it's the revenue generating sport in most major schools. And then the rest will be divvied up amongst basketball and the rest of the sports. But the Big East teams, they don't have major football programs. So they're projected to be spending $6, $7, $8 million on their roster per Big East team against the rest of college basketball that will be spending $4 or $5 or maybe $6 million. So we could be looking at a future where the Big East is like the basketball conference, and then the rest of these teams are essentially relegated to being like trying to be spoilers or Cinderellas.
No, I think that's absolutely fair. And I see why the ACC is kind of trying to capitalize on that right now, because the ACC has been the premier basketball conference. That is what the ACC is known as. And that has not been the case the last few years. The SEC has completely taken over. The Big 12 has taken over. The ACC just isn't competing the same. Obviously, you can kind of play that into the fact that Roy Williams isn't there anymore. And I know Duke's been very good this year, but there was, concerns about Coach K being gone. But when you look at the ACC right now and just where they stand, where they've just redid their entire revenue model based off of what Clemson and Florida State wanted with football, just because they're in a weird spot where no one seems to be particularly happy, it seems like a good idea to attach another way for teams to make more money, for the ACC to be more competitive, because right now they're just falling behind, and they're grateful that Cooper Flagg decided to go to Duke, because that's the entire savior of their conference. Had Cooper Flagg not gone to Duke, had they not been a good team, what would have their tournament appearance been? Clemson losing to McNeese State?
Ugh.
Like, that was it. The ACC is not a good conference. But if the ACC decides to join the Big East, we'll have some great basketball games. And do you know where you should get tickets for those hypothetical basketball games? You should get them for Game Time. Download the Game Time app and redeem code Lucy for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Now you go.
Again.
Look at me, Lucy.
That's an undercover great Lucy.
2 for 2. Use code Lucy.
You cooking, Lucy. I had something to say, but Hawk threw me off.
Yeah. That's what
You're
I do.
You're doing really great, man.
You're crushing it, though.
You're doing really great.
It is. It feels good.
The big. So, I got good news. I got good news for you.
Where is this going?
No, I got good news for you, Mike.
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for you.
Okay.
So the article I was talking about, they're gonna introduce a Deloitte-run clearinghouse for NIL deals now.
Yeah, that's not great.
But it's gonna turn out to be good news for you, Mike.
Yeah.
So the clearinghouse is going to make sure that all of the NIL deals are above board and are actually deals for name, image, and likeness, not just ways to funnel money to players. And so this article I was reading was talking about how the salary cap, essentially the revenue sharing, and the renewed strictness on the NIL deal is going to create a situation where, get excited, Mike, we might be going back to under-the-table deals. Miami's back.
The U is back.
We've been doing just fine with the rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you were doing better with the under the table deal.
I've had a huge issue with the
get under that
entity that has
table.
tried to undermine NIL and lost over 24 court cases fighting NIL, all of a sudden just having full autonomy over NIL. It doesn't seem right.
Mike,
I'm with you, Mike.
Get your ass under the table where Miami belongs. Y'all love it under the table.
Taylor's there.
Come on, Mike.
I don't think
glory days.
I
Bring
don't
'em
think
back.
a clearinghouse may necessarily bring a fair market for the athletes. And also, I'm a little confused. I understand
that.
why everybody is marching forward with rev share. There is still things pending. Yeah. The Supreme Court will probably rule on this. And look, there's few things bring both sides together quite like a mutual hatred for the NCAA. They do have. While everyone's just pushing forward as if this is going to be a certainty, there have been Supreme Court justices that have been on the record anti-NCAA, so it's not the slam dunk that they think it is. I'm kind of confused how the whole machine just keeps moving forward as if this is a foregone conclusion. Probably is moving because they feel like they have it. And that's why they brought in a politician to oversee the entire thing. But the entire thing makes me feel really bad, and there's so many things going on that people are just going to ignore it. And I think a free market is going to get squashed in this. And I don't see how they actually have the time to get to everything. They're going to completely create a new template inside of a couple of months before football season, and think it's going to get messy.
It's not over. It's going to change a number of times in the next few years before we get to some sort of steady state. Combining amateurism with business is never going to work as smoothly as they want. But I think the peak college sport right now is women's basketball. We didn't talk much about that. In part because Juju's out, but I do want to wonder if the South Carolina's close games against great teams like Maryland and other teams, should we be concerned about South Carolina going up? I guess UCLA was the favorite going into the tournament, though, right?
Yeah, so it was a kind of a choose between South Carolina or UCLA for the number 1 overall seed, and UCLA does have a head-to-head win over South Carolina. I personally thought South Carolina should have gotten the number 1 overall seed, but the way South Carolina has played in this tournament hasn't necessarily helped that case. So South Carolina beat Duke yesterday 54-50. They had almost as many turnovers as baskets in this game. Like, it was not a stereotypical South Carolina win. They had a similar style of game against Maryland the week before, where they're eking out these close wins. They were down at half to Maryland, and then in the round of 32, the same thing happened with Indiana. They were down at half again. It was the first time, and I can't tell you how long, that South Carolina had trailed at halftime for multiple games within the tournament. Obviously doesn't matter, though. They're advancing to their fifth straight Final Four. It's one of those things where, like, you can look at this South Carolina team the way you probably haven't been able to the last few years, and it's very obvious they have some glaring weaknesses. They're very beatable. However, watching any of those games, I was hoping for an upset because it'd be fun, but the entire time I knew South Carolina is going to win. Dawn Staley, like South Carolina, they have a tendency to squeak out these close games whenever they're playing in them, which they haven't been doing much over the last few years. But this is a team that got their ass kicked against UConn and has been pretty much unstoppable since. Got to the tournament and now has been playing with their food a little bit. I think with Juju getting hurt, obviously that opens up some area for South Carolina. It's probably going to be a South Carolina UConn Final Four. Obviously UCLA has looked really good. I think they looked great against LSU, and I think the key to how good they looked against LSU was that Lauren Betts was in foul trouble and someone else stepped up, and that's what UCLA needs. I can't tell you how many times I've turned on a UCLA game and you see the little stat in the corner that's like Lauren Betts, her stat line, rest of team, and they're always the same. So I just think that even though they've been messing around, it's South Carolina, and I'm not gonna doubt South Carolina. They are a great basketball team. They're just playing kind of ugly right now, but who cares if you win?
Yeah, I think Duke plays that style of basketball where it's defense heavy. They're going to force you to turn the ball over, and they're really going to limit your ability to make shots. And half of the South Carolina team is really young. Like, it's a very mixed age group right now, and a lot of the players that were on the team last year, primarily like Camila Cardoso, who is a WNBA lottery pick, she's gone. So they're trying to fill in with a couple players that are a little bit younger. But if Texas or TCU wins tonight, I think South Carolina is going to be favored over either one of them. They just beat Texas 2 weeks ago in the SEC championship and completely destroyed them. So I think that if you're unfamiliar with the style of play of Duke women's basketball, that's sort of the kind of game that you expect. They try to give themselves a chance by keeping it in there with defense and having these super low scoring rock fight games. But South Carolina ultimately is just the better team, so they won.
Hey.
No, 100%.
Lucy, do me a favor. You got your phone near you?
Yes.
Okay, look
always.
up.
And look at my phone case.
Kind of question is that?
Ooh, nice phone case.
Isn't that cute?
It's very cute. Where'd you find it?
Casetify, no free.
Oh, okay. It was. I mean, I think stories behind where you find things are normally more interesting than I just bought it, but it's fine.
I just bought it.
So, go to your Uber and find your Uber rating. While you're doing that, Charlie, I also contacted Pablo, Dan, and David Sampson to get their Uber rating. So, Charlie, please run down the list of ranking who you think has the highest to worst Uber rating. Hold on, Lucy. Don't tell us yours yet. But,
okay, I have it.
But, Charlie, you have it? You ready? All right, Charlie, run them down.
I'm starting at the top, highest to lowest.
Okay,
so it's a better reveal.
Number one. Okay.
I'm going Hawk.
Ooh.
Football players are on time.
He's a receiver, though.
Oh, it's a good point.
He's a receiver.
But
and I feel like everyone's on my time, always.
All right, well, I put you in the number one spot. That might be hand up, my bad.
Okay. Just be honest with you, man.
Number two.
I get there when I get there. That's just my life mantra.
Wow. You and
he's a receiver.
I'm just telling you, man. Party starts when I get there.
I've spent so much time with Dominique where he just gives me legitimate anxiety for being 10 minutes early to stuff that I just assume this is a full football trait. We've had Mike Golick Jr. on our show before, and he's also there 15 minutes early, but he's a guard, and a guard's sort of like a slot corner.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. If somebody else is paying, yes, 10 minutes early is late. If I'm paying, I get there when I get there.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? So Uber, hey, I'll be down there.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
I like peek out the window for an Uber to make sure I don't make them wait because
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's problematic.
Well, I'll save my Uber stories till after you get to your list because I want to know what you think.
Number 2, I'm putting Jess.
Jess, shocking.
I like Jess at 2.
Why is that shocking?
I don't know. I guess it's just my own experience with my wife. The Uber rating is not. I mean the.
No, keep talking.
No. I'm with Dominique on this.
No, don't do it, man. Don't do this.
No,
to yourself.
I'm with Dominique on this.
No,
Trap.
where this goes.
It's a trap.
I have the same issue. I know what it is. I got the same issue.
They're women. No. Give my man a 5. Don't leave him hanging. I've told my wife, when we're going out, you call the Ubers. Because I hate making the Uber driver wait. When we go out, you call the Ubers. When we're coming home, you call the Ubers. I ain't calling no damn Uber because I've called it a couple times and you make me look like an asshole. I got to walk out there and sit in the Uber for 5 minutes and make conversation with this guy because I feel like a jerk.
Hawk, that's why I'm peeking out the window. Because I need to know when I have to go and have the conversation to, buy the extra 5 to 7 minutes.
Nothing worse than having to have the conversation.
That's my move, though. You
Weather's
go out
nice.
there and you're like apologizing to your group. You're like, sorry about these people. They're coming. I know they're in the bathroom. I told them to come outside. This is my rating it. Please don't.
Me and your wife are from the same fraternity because I am the how much time do we have? 15 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay, cool. At minute 9, go put my luggage in the car because then they won't pull off with my luggage. And then I got them locked in. And then we wait another 10 minutes until I'm finished with this phone call.
Your Uber rating is definitely the worst. All right, Charlie, rattle through. Hopefully
All right,
we get some more.
I'm going to go a little faster now. Dominique is 3rd. Respect for time. Yep. 4th, I'm going with Billy, who I think is oddly polite with strangers. 5th, I'm going with Roy.
I don't like where we're going with this.
Billy, we don't have.
Down the list.
I don't know that I have Billy's, but okay.
Okay. 5th, I'm going with Roy. I feel like he's never, ever been like, hey, actually, you took a wrong turn. Actually, there's a better route. He's just cool with it.
What did I do to you, Charlie?
We'll get to you, Big Red. 5th, I'm going with myself because I know my Uber rating. 6th, I'm going with Lucy. I think she's probably got some 1 stars in college.
I think your numbers are
maybe
off,
a couple issues.
That's actually fair.
Yeah. The young people are tough. 7th, I'm going with Tony. I feel like he probably
I'm worse than Tony?
Yeah. Tony's like, have you heard this Joe Rogan podcast? I think we should put it on.
Hear that JFK thing?
Yeah. 8th is Mike, Mr. Oxcord himself.
Horseshit.
9th is Chris. Chris, I think.
How many people are on this list?
Chris, have you paid the $250 fine for throwing up in the back?
No.
Be honest.
I have not.
Oh, Lucy has.
Twice.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm liking my chances now.
Yeah.
Love the University of Iowa. Go Hawks. Great time.
Someone below me, huh?
Chris is actually 10th, just so you know your numbers are a little
Actually, I
off
am
there.
going to bump Chris down to 10. Because I
Maybe
forgot
11 now.
David Sampson has to go somewhere higher just because I know he's standing outside anxiously 1 minute before the Uber arrives and walks and goes, hey, how was your day?
No.
And then says
That's not a
nothing
good
else.
take. Because if the Uber is late, he's giving him hell. The app said you'd be here 2 minutes ago.
I've been here for 4
No.
minutes.
I'm telling you this from the Jewish diaspora anxiety thing.
Okay.
David is more worried about his Uber rating than anyone else on this list. He cares more about it.
And yet you have him at 11.
No, I moved him up. That was my
Okay.
bad. I forgot to include him.
All right.
Let's put him 5th, right behind Roy.
Okay.
I put Dan as not applicable. I'm shocked if he has the Uber app on his phone or knows how to call an Uber. There's just no fucking way.
I imagine Dan like on the wrong side of the hotel. Like, I don't know where to go.
He has he also definitely has a black car driver that he knows that he calls and schedules the night before he needs to
Is that a
use.
black car driver or a black
Glad
car
you said
driver?
something like that.
Either way, I'm not sure.
That was also some Dan wordplay.
Thank you.
No, there we go.
Slam Dan is in the building.
The spirit is
His
strong
name is actually
here.
Leroy.
A black car.
Can we reveal now?
But
so
he's
I-
white.
named Leroy.
Can we reveal our numbers so I can get a victory lap here?
Well, all right. We
I got two more.
got Pablo and
Hold
David
on.
too.
I got
Oh,
two
I'm
more.
not the last.
Next is Pablo. He is always late, and I just do not think he cares about his Uber rating or about drivers having to wait for him or about him,
The rule for Pablo is if you ain't famous, I don't fool with
exactly.
you.
Crazy mantra.
If there's no value for it, he's not gonna give his best.
He got it tatted on his chest.
And the last one's a mean. Like, come on, give me a break. Give me a break, man.
Spit take.
That's fair.
Hard to argue.
Just him mumbling drunkenly to an Uber driver for a 30-minute ride to the airport every time he leaves Miami.
Somebody texted me to see if he could get us his Uber rating, because I did text him. I just text Pablo, David, and Dan. All right, now we got it. Let's go around the room.
Who's going to pencil this list in?
I'll write him down.
All right, this is tough.
Starting with you, Charlie. What's your rating?
487.
Imagine that.
Ooh. All right. Mike.
It's real bad. It's real bad.
What is it?
Show me your phone.
It's 4.75.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's real bad, huh?
It's I've been building it up. At a certain point, I was like, all right, let me just start over. I'll be a Lyft guy. I got to reclaim my reputation here because I'm always the guy that gets the Uber XL for the group.
Can I make a choice whether to do Lyft or Uber?
Nope.
Okay. It has to be Uber.
Oobs only.
All right.
Oh, come on. Both of them.
Jessica?
I've worked really hard on my reputation on Lyft.
I have a perfect 5.0.
There's no way.
Get out of here, Smetty Wop. Woo!
You might be the first person I've ever heard of
That's impressive.
to have a 5.0 Uber rating.
Roy, what you got, buddy?
Well, for Lyft, I have a 5.0.
No one asked about that.
Nobody asked about that.
And for
Me too.
Uber, I have a 4.97.
Get him, Roy.
Superlative.
So I don't know who that one driver was, but you can kiss my ass.
I was probably the guy who did the voiceovers.
Yeah.
Chris.
Mine's higher than Charlie's.
Ooh.
4.92.
492.
Charlie forgets how
Well
just
done.
how damn nice I am.
You
to
are
people.
affable
I'm
as
just
hell,
friendly.
man. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? How's your night going?
You probably start with a 4 because you wobble in there drunk and
I'm
mad.
sorry, man. I'm a little drunk today.
But then
You
once they
having
get
a
to
good
know
night,
you-
though? You having a good
Chris
night?
also revealed to us once that when the Uber drivers are talking to him about like weird stuff, he'll just kind of nod along and
Oh, yeah.
smile and agree with them, even
I'm
when they're
in.
saying
Whatever you're
crazy
selling,
things.
I'm buying.
down the middle, Chris. It's like, oh, conspiracy theory? Give me some of that.
And look at me, I get a lot of it.
I
get
hadn't thought of it that way. Great point.
Vaccines, smack scenes, baby.
Black people are so loud, man. It's crazy.
See that guy wearing a mask? I can't believe he's
I
still
was
wearing a
thinking the
mask.
same thing. So.
All right, Lucy, what's your rating?
I'm a 496.
Ooh,
Despite what I did in college, I think that's the most impressive.
that is incredible.
To have thrown up in an Uber 3 times. and
Only
gotten that
twice.
fine-
Only
okay,
twice. Speak.
sorry.
No.
Hey,
To have thrown up in an Uber
hold
twice.
on.
Gotten that fine.
In your defense, Hawk, if you throw it up in the Uber 2 times, you probably don't remember the other 2 times.
Exactly.
You did it.
I completely agree.
You got 4
That's-
oob vomits.
To remember 2 of them with the fine, and there's got to be some you didn't get fined for, like a couple words that, and it just splattered on the seat in front of you, and you just left as if you didn't know because you didn't see it. I'm
It
almost
hasn't happened
positive.
in 5 years.
All right.
Oh, I love that. Comeback player of the year. All right. Andrew, I'm nervous, man. I saved you for last.
I'm not as bad as Mike. I'm not great.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I'm 4.78. I tip well too, though.
That was my 40 time in high school.
Yeah. Okay. That's. Yep.
There's no
That'll
such
do it.
thing as an accurate high school 40 time.
No.
Yeah,
absolutely
just
not.
No,
so
this
you
one
know.
was.
So
This
you
was-
were
this
you were
was-
5
this was
flat.
like- No, it was 4.7.
Nah, I'm just letting you know.
It's like a full second faster than Restrepo.
I ran a 4.3 in high school and then got to college
There's
and
no
they
way.
clocked me and they was like 4.6.
Yeah, you got
as a
faster,
freshman.
stronger,
Yeah.
and lost 0.3
Yeah,
in
it's
your
like
40.
4.6. All right. Well, let me see who we got here. So Lucy and Charlie. Oh no, Charlie, what was yours? 8.7?
487.
4.87.
Okay.
Yep.
So Pablo is a 8.4. 4.84. Dan is a 4.85.
That's Valerie.
Dan is a 4.85. And David is a 4.87.
Put me next to you at your darkest moment, Mr. Uber driver.
It's a good impression.
This is tough. Can we do Lyft next? Can
No,
we please do
no,
Lyft next?
no.
Can we please?
Hold on. So
Can get higher than I
so
am.
Lucy's thrown up in multiple cars, and yet Uber drivers around the country are like, we'd rather have Lucy than Mike.
Honestly, bro.
Lucy is a lot like Chris, I think, is that they're probably really fun to talk to and the Uber drivers like them. Well, the ones
Well, that's because I lie.
You lie?
See?
Just like
All the
Chris.
time.
That's how
I just
you
make
do
up
it.
crazy stories.
You guys
What, are you guys
They
getting?
say-
Are you guys getting into life debates with your Uber drivers? Just let them talk,
Yeah.
not
You're-
along.
No. You guys
If they
are
say
perpetual.
batshit stuff, I have to say something.
No, you
Thank you,
guys.
Lucy.
One time an Uber was like, I think you would love this girl. Her name is Candace Owens. And I had to be like, no, we're not doing this.
Stephen A. was your driver.
Love CO.
perpetuate people pleasers is what you guys are. Like,
You don't have to be.
yeah,
Stand up for yourself.
Hold on. You
Not
know
Lucy.
why?
Not Lucy.
You guys should be taking advice from me, first of all, because I have
Yeah.
a perfect score. The way to do this is just you don't talk. You just sit there and you nod and you smile politely. That's all you do.
I never have very long conversations with the Uber drivers. It's cool, but I am a part of the .9 crew. I got a 4.9. No, who else? It's me. It's Charlie, Lucy, right?
Not Charlie.
I mean, not Charlie. Excuse
Yep.
me, Chris, Lucy, and the boy Roy. Yeah, .9 boy.
is Roy short for Leroy?
No.
Okay.
Roycef, actually.
No.
Roy Sif. Roy Tholomew.
No.
Roy Alexander.
No.
I like how you made 4.9 a crew
Roy
just because
Tazar.
you're in it.
No.
That is the unconscious bias that America is built on of like, oh, if this is my thing, other people have done it to make it more important than everyone else. Because it's not a 5. We have a 5-0, so there's no reason to call out a 4.9 crew, but yet he made it a thing to
We all
where,
know the 4.9s are strong. We
Yeah.
can all agree.
You got to treat it like a 40 time in high school.
Yes.
You round
Okay.
up.
There
Not
you
as
go.
strong as a 5, but
Yeah.
Roymond.
No.
Not strong as a 5. Get out of here.
what would your hockey nickname be, Roy?
Roy Yee.
Roy, probably.
The King.
Bells.
Belly.
Belly.
Bells.
Oh, it'd definitely be Belly or Bells.
Yeah.
Good call.
Hawk would just be Hawk because they
Yeah,
wouldn't add a
that's-
Y to that because it'd be like hockey? No,
Yeah,
we
no,
can't.
you can't call hockey and hockey. That's nuts.
All right, Luce. Thanks for
Crazy.
joining us. I'm gonna let you fly. I appreciate it. What's your shirt say?
It says chaos.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lacrosse
Chaos
club.
Lacrosse Club. All right, Luce. You got anything else you want to sell before you go?
No, I already did a great job.
You did an awesome job. Bye, buddy.
Thank you. Bye.
So, what's the most surprising score?
We don't have Samson's score.
I gave you Samson's score. Samson had a very high score.
4.8 something. I was actually surprised at how low his was.
Yeah, he had a 4.87. He's not a .9 boy.
Same as me. That's
Him
a
and Charlie.
tough scene.
Yeah.
Real tough
scene.
scene.
Yep.
What do you do in Ubers? How do you ruin your?
Do you guys mark no conversation on your Uber?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
I mark no conversation, and my wife will tell me I'm hard on it because I do not want to talk. Not because it's more my social anxiety because the whole having to get to the conversation, and I'm typically doing something else. I want to work in the Uber.
There's only certain places where Uber drivers tend to talk more than not talk.
Yeah.
It's very city dependent. You get in
Okay.
an Uber in a big city, generally,
Yeah.
you're not really chit-chatting. You get in an Uber, maybe you're on a work trip somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little smaller town. They're like kind of curious about you. Why are you coming to my town?
Yeah.
That's where the conversations happen.
In Miami, they're on the phone. And like you'll learn it like 4 minutes in, you'll just hear them like
Yep.
The Uber driver, yeah.
And like, oh, are they talking to me? Oh no, they're on the phone.
So the
Okay.
person's just on speaker and they're just like listening along.
Yeah.
Just listening along the whole ride. Like they're not actually communicating, but he's just like, I'm here for you.
Man.
7 minutes in, they're like, yeah, I agree with that. And it's like, who are they talking to?
Are you? So Mike is the worst.
Mike is the
Mike's
worst?
friends.
Yeah,
Right,
Mike's friends. Is
Yeah, I mean,
I will allow Mike.
I'm almost exclusively left too. So
Yeah, okay, Mike.
that's like
you're-
out of 7
You're the.
rides.
That
you're
makes it
the-
worse.
You're the only one. You're the only one. I'll allow you to introduce your Lyft
Why?
score because
I was right behind
No,
him.
I have
We're
it's
part of the
perfect.
4.7 gang.
That is
That's
nothing to be
4
proud of.
sevens.
4.7,
That I
bro.
hate.
Proud of.
I am
It's more exclusive than the 4.9.
5.0 in Lyft.
You sure?
For like close to 800 rides, yeah.
Congratulations, man. You're
Thank
not.
you.
You're not.
I
an
worked hard
asshole.
on that. I worked hard on that because I found out one time, like my Uber driver told me, your rating's pretty low. I'm like, what? I was shocked to hear that. And then I was like trying to figure out exactly how I got to that point. I'm like, I'm never really the problem, am I?
How low was your rating?
At that point, it was like in the 5.
What?
Like, yeah, like it was like
0.5?
4. Yeah, 4.5. So I'm really doing a lot of work on myself.
Yeah, good job.
And it's just because he wouldn't stop talking about Miami Hurricanes football.
When I say no conversation, it's to protect my rating.
I have also 5.0 in Lyft, in case you were wondering.
I was wondering.
Okay.
They hand those out on that thing.
Yeah, apparently.
Clearly, everyone's 5-0 on Lyft.
They're trying to get you guys to come over. But
steal the car in order to
let me
get a
see
bad
some of
rating.
your Lyft ratings, Al, because for some of you, I mean, there's only one way to go.
I don't even have Lyft.
Yeah, I don't know that I even have Lyft. I feel like I downloaded it at one point.
My name on my Uber is also not my name, so I wouldn't even be able to prove that it's my profile.
Do you have a fake name like Roy?
Yes.
So does Pablo.
You guys don't go fake names? on
Roy's
Ubers?
name's Jack Spade.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you, sucker.
So, I mean, the point of having
seriously.
a fake name, you can't say.
He checks in hotels as Jack Spade.
Say the name on
you
air.
can't say the name. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, it is. So people don't know your identity. You can't now give it away that you are Jack Spade on all your rideshare apps.
Every hotel I go in, is there a Jack Spade sitting in here?
Which of these is the most surprising? I feel like, Jess's 5-0 shocked me. That's incredible.
I'm not like your wife, it turns out.
Apparently not.
We're different.
But Uber was around when you were in college.
No.
So, it's
And I was very respectful.
I would like to ask for a retroactive 90s pardon for being sexist. I just would like a sexist pardon.
We didn't
at some point.
You know, dig into how sexist
Can the
that
pardon be granted? Because Lucy's is still the most shocking. 496 with a double boot.
Well, you know what? Maybe they're
that's nuts.
maybe they're really smart about when they order the Uber. Like maybe she's not feeling great. Like you should probably get this one, so it goes on someone else's ratings because I'm not at my best.
Also, how many rides? We should also put that into consideration because if you only have 2 Uber rides and you have a high rating, I'm less impressed.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have in the 4-7 gang for life, and I've had
hopefully not for life.
For life. Never getting out of the
5.0s in
4-7
Lyft.
gang.
Asterisk.
Yeah, we should see how many rides you have.
How do you do that?
I don't know. Yeah. My Lyft tells me right away.
Lyft tells me, yep. Lyft
I have
is
106 Lyft rides.
I would love. Did anybody text Amin and find out? Amin and Tony. So maybe I guess in the next segment we'll get an Amin and Tony because somebody has to undercut my buddy Mike. I believe that between Amin and Tony, one of them is gonna get under Mike, right?
Man, that's pretty low. That's a pretty low rating.
Who do you think is lower, Amin or Tony?
Amin.
Yeah.
I think Amin is lower for sure.
I think Tony's lower. Just because I felt bad the way that y'all all jumped on my dog.
No, Tony could be a charmer.
Yeah, fair point. And Tony's
Think about his friends.
I have a text from Pablo. Ask Mike if his Uber driver handed him a survey full of the anonymous thoughts of other Uber drivers that drove him in an attempt to make him more likable. Your thoughts?
I don't want to indirectly talk to Pablo.
He still doesn't he, or maybe it's all the Walmart. I can't remember. It's all the Walmart guys used to fly coach everywhere, and it's like a drive old Sam Walton used to drive like an old beat up pickup truck. Like I don't know.
Hold on a second though. Juju is saying that JJ Watt has a golden Chipotle card.
Wow.
A lot of athletes have those, Dan. It's a thing now, or it was a thing in like 2010. Then the whole norovirus thing happened. Chipotle kind of dropped off a little bit. I still ate there though that entire time.
I thought all the Subway athletes got those for Subway. Like every time you see a Subway commercial, they get the Subway
You
card.
should ask Golick. Didn't he do a whole Subway thing?
Mike?
I left you hanging there. I'm
All
so
right,
sorry.
Mike, we will
Thanks, Stu.
By the way, I'm a goal. Actually, you host a show with them. I don't know.
So do you.
This sound is 5 minutes overdue. Everything about this segment has been dialing up a Regis Philbin anecdote to knowing the exact change for Warren Buffett, Walmart guys flying coach, everyone here.
Are aliens real? With Jeremy Corbell, host of Weaponized.
Now, this guy's making sense so far, but I just want to know, I'm a little skeptical when it comes to this stuff, so I'm going to let you guys know at the end of this where this guy falls on my kook meter. I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to be disrespectful. My name's Chris.
Chris, hold on. Let me ask you something. Extraordinary evidence requires what? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? You're one of those guys.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So I believe that extraordinary claims, that they require evidence. I think it's extraordinary that people don't know the evidence. So it's not your fault. Skepticism is good. I am more skeptical than you know. We've never met, Chris. But here's the deal, brother. If you are not caught up, that's not my fault. That's yours.
Meter's moving.
Let's get you caught up right now.
He's calling you ignorant. And
no, not at all. What I'm saying is that the stigma is so vast. It's in our military. The stigma is what causes lack of information. We are in a data-rich environment when it comes to UFOs, but the public, the general person, taking their kids to school, paying their bills, it's a data-poor environment, and it doesn't need to be that way. So let's get there, Chris.
You're in a pink room with a safe and a typewriter.
I am. Pink is my favorite color. You busted me, and I don't know what you're talking about the safe.
Is there an alien in that safe, or
what? An alien?
Can't confirm nor deny what's in the safe. Sorry.
What is the evidence? What evidence do we have?
Okay, so it depends what you're talking about. Like, on what level do you want evidence? I've released military filmed, Pentagon confirmed, UFO designated footage. I mean, you're talking about craft that do things that we can't do. I'll give you one example, because if you want evidence, how long a show we got? Very simple. Commander David Fravor off the west coast of California in 2004, he engaged an object, a craft of unknown origin. He was tasked and sent out there on a training mission. When he went out there, he observed, but not only that, Commander Chad Underwood filmed what we now know as the Tic Tac UFO. This object had abilities far beyond thousands of years of what we're supposed to have right now in the US. We know it was not US. We know it was not China. We know it was not Russia. Whose was it? This craft was able to drop from 80,000 feet, actually above that, because that's the scan volume of the radar system they were using. It could drop above 80,000 feet, so from outer space, all the way down to sea level like that in less than a second. Now you tell me what we have that does that. That's tracked on radar. That's tracked on satellite. That's tracked on the ASA system on the pilots. And we have visual confirmation from 5 pilots. So you tell me, whose machine is that? That's the extraordinary evidence for the extraordinary claim that there are objects out there we don't understand.
Mike McClung is proof, right?
Mac.
Who's that?
Mac McClune?
Matt McClung.
The guy who won the dunk contest.
Nailed
the
it.
tiny
It's a
white
double
guy.
fine.
Yeah.
Double fine.
Yeah.
Oh, man, all I watch is
He's an alien.
jujitsu and movies. I don't know anything about sports. I'm sorry.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
It's okay. It's all right. It's not
Jeremy, what do they want? The
Who's
aliens. The aliens.
Okay, but you're making an assumption now. So what do you call an alien? Something that is unknown to you, you say is alien to you. If you're talking about beings from another planet, you're making a leap in logic, which I don't know yet if that's true. Although I do suspect by the types of propulsion systems that are documented from our military that they do come from somewhere else. So they will be alien to you. They will be alien to me. But I don't know exactly what that means. What do they want? That was your question. How could I know that? I don't even know what I want.
It's there.
The podcast series.
What are you on for? I mean,
it's called
you don't know what they want.
Weaponized. His show explores strange phenomena, UFOs.
He just blinked for the first time in this entire interview.
Did. Yeah.
Cover
He's one of
I'm
them.
not an alien.
Conspiracies.
That's exactly what an alien would say.
Hard evidence related to the paranormal, cutting edge science, big time crimes.
Do you think that there is we obviously know more than what we've released, and as of a few years ago, we've declassified all this, and we've totally acknowledged there are things out there that we don't understand that can do things we can't explain. But do you think a part of this is being withheld from the public now just because so many deities would be confused by this and would not know where to go, and us as a species right now, we couldn't handle the truth?
Well, first of all, we can handle the truth. We have a right to know and need to know, and I feel a duty to find out. But is there a cover-up? Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, This is not theoretical. We have documents from the CIA, from the FBI. This is a historic cover-up. Nobody wants to admit that there is a technology out there that is far more superior than the greatest supernation that we know on planet Earth. So you're asking me, is there a cover-up? Man, they cover up how much they spend on a toilet seat at the Pentagon. So you're asking me if there's a cover-up about UFOs? Yeah, the answer is effing yes.
You know what? My boy's cooking right now. Let my boy cook. I'm with him.
He is cooking.
I don't understand that reference. Can you explain that?
You're spitting.
That's me. It's Tony.
That was Tony. That's a fine.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
So it's a different reference to what it means.
I'm saying I'm with you, brother. That you're cooking right now with gas.
Yeah,
you're cooking with gas
he says that he's with you. That you're preaching.
You're not a kook. Yes.
Yeah, he lost his voice. Pardon him. He has a Cuban voice box, and it was really dry in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
No, I'm Dan, and we've got an assortment of clowns parading around us.
That's Cubans. That's good. Look, guys, I really appreciate you want to cover this topic. We kind of have fun with it, right? Everybody's like, oh, man, this is kind of crazy. The thing is that it might be the biggest story of our time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. It's either that there are beings that are non-human, so non-human intelligence engaging humanity, or we have some sort of deception program where we're being led to believe that. Now, that is much less likely, much less, because it would be coordinated over generations. So it's good to have fun with this. But let's be honest. Isn't this curious?
Super. And if this technology is out there and can do things, and this is just one ship, then one would make logical assumptions that if they have this type of technology, they have technology to do worse. Why haven't they? Why are they just observing?
Playing with their food.
Why is everything... it's a lot of people get skeptical of UFOs because it's a lot like Bigfoot in that, okay, but nobody can get me a crystal clear image of this.
Nothing like Bigfoot.
No, but
we have so many photos and images, and the Pentagon confirmed, and we have military pilots that come forward with footage, radar, sonar, thermal, everything. There's nothing like Bigfoot.
And I've seen the videos that you're mentioning, but still, you referred to it as a tic tac because it appears as a tic tac. What we have out there, people can still dismiss as that's got to be something else. There isn't the one great holy grail piece of footage where you can see definition in these things, and
that you've seen. But hold on,
is that what's in the safe?
That's what's in the safe.
Okay, check it out. Let me give you something. So why is it called the Tic Tac UFO? This is freaking hilarious. So the guy that filmed it is named Commander Chad Underwood. He was under Commander David Fravor, who was head of the Black Aces. And when they engaged this UFO for the military, the guy comes back from filming this, and the stigma is so bad. So the guy's asking him, kind of in the CIC, they call it, which is the Combat Information Center. They're saying, so what did it look like? And all this guy's thinking is like, if I tell him, it's going to sound crazy. So he started thinking about 80s movies, and he's like, Airplane. I remember that movie. And there's this great scene in Airplane where they're describing a plane. And he's like, it's cylindrical. It looks like, I don't know, a Tylenol with wheels. And he was like, I can't say Tylenol. That's too crazy. So he's like, looks like a Tic Tac, sir. So that's how it got the famous name, the Tic Tac UFO, because it was oblong. It was this kind of a chalkboard white, or kind of like drawing board white. And it was just an unbelievable machine that could do maneuvers that seemed immune to inertial effect. And what that means for people as about my level of smartness, which is I had to learn what inertial means. I looked it up on Google. But it's like the idea that it can move instantaneously without deceleration or acceleration. So this thing is going ping-ponging. Like imagine you take a glass of water or you take a glass that's empty and you put a ping pong ball inside and shake it around. That's how fast it worked. Normally, human beings that were occupying that craft would be turned into jelly because of the amount of force when they move at that rate and speed. So it's pretty amazing, actually. That's why they call it the Tic Tac UFO.
So I'm pretty fascinated by all of this. And right now it seems as though we're looking at the news and there's green lasers being shot down on top of Hawaii, and chunks of the sun are flying off, and there's all these UFO sightings. Could it be China? Could it be all these weather balloons? I'm going to be real with you. Kind of feels like we're on the precipice of something bigger here, an invasion perhaps. Do you think that there is something out there that if it has this technology, it could destroy us if it wanted to?
Well, for sure, the technology that we are witnessing can be weaponized. And I'm going to shoot you straight here, and you don't need to believe me because we'll see if I'm right. But the technology itself can be weaponized. The propulsion systems themselves are a matter of national security, is my understanding from direct communications that I have with people. We're actually talking weapons of mass destruction. Imagine if you had a technology that was so powerful, it could bend space-time, it can bend gravity. That could be weaponized. Now, is this war of the worlds? No, we got Biden shooting down balloons over the US. It's so ridiculous. This has been with us for a long time. So if whoever operates these technologies, let it be terrestrial, some nation we don't know about that's just been here thousands of years, or if it is from somewhere else, and you choose your poison on that, non-terrestrial, non-human intelligence, other planets, other dimensions, I don't even know what that means. There's nothing to fear because it's been with us for a long time. And also, if this type of civilization or this type of entities that make these craft, if they wanted to hurt us, you figure they would. However, if you want to get dark and weird, I just released on our last episode something about cattle mutilations, which I had an allergy to. I was like, oh, what is this about? This has nothing to do with UFOs. God damn, was I wrong. Turns out the FBI studied this back in the day, and this is all documented. And you can look at the FBI files on cattle mutilations. So my question to you is, if you are raising a herd for food of cattle, do you feed them? Do you give them water? Do you give them antibiotics if they're sick? Do you actually genetically alter them in some way to make them better food for you? I sure hope that's not what's going on here. I don't think it is, and I'm kind of making a joke. But the point is, we haven't been harmed. Maybe we've been assisted. So whoever this is, whatever their intent, scientifically, we should look at this, we should explore it, and we should look at it sober-minded and reduce the stigma. If we can reduce the stigma, then we're going to see what's right in front of our eyes.
What can I, as a normal person, do about any of this?
I'm not sure you're a normal person. You could be a reptilian from Zorgon, but here's the deal. Good question. Normal person. What can you do?
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
We back. So on the Dominique Foxworth Show, Charlie and I, after each show, determine whether we won or lost. And sometimes later on in the day, immediately after the show, sometimes we're right. And then later on in the day, we're like, hey, I think we took a loss. Or like, hey, keep the streak alive. I say that to say, at the end of today's show, we're going to have show awards, as we did last time I was here. But we also need to determine whether we won game one or not, because we got a 5-game series. Yeah. We got a 5-game series this week, and we got to get out here with a dub. And I'm so, as I mentioned before, I'm so happy to have Hawk here game one. He's clutch, man.
So does that mean if we win the first 3 games, we just don't work Thursday, Friday?
Yeah. I mean, that's how a series work, baby. Yep. So bring your A game.
That's week 17 and 18 of the NFL season, basically.
How are we doing today so far? Are we up?
I think we got a pretty good lead.
It's a close ball game.
We blew the lead with Dominique's follow-ups to lose here.
They weren't great.
No. It was a bit of a turd quarter.
I had a couple turnovers, baby. I had a hot start, got full of myself, had a couple turnovers. Hand up. Another thing from the Dominique Foxworth Show, accountability plays. That's what we
went off you, coach.
You take responsibility.
Couple of errors.
Oh no. We don't tell if it went off us. We just take responsibility if it did go off of us. Like
that is not the norm here.
No.
It's losing ball.
Well,
losing ball.
This week it's the norm. We're gonna be accountable. Everybody's gonna be prepared, and if you're not, call it out. Charlie got in trouble yesterday because he took responsibility. I mean, not in trouble, but he took responsibility. We had a ridiculous adventure to get here yesterday.
It's a long day.
I'll be accountable. I didn't quite fully understand what Pablo was trying to tell me through Charlie.
I had no clue.
But I did take the opportunity to find the funny out.
Nice.
So I was bad and good.
The one thing that I can always
Did you just take accountability for being good?
For being good.
Yeah. Sometimes accountability is accountability, no matter what side of the fence it's on.
I thought
I'd
I
like
did
to,
out. I thought I
like
did really
to
well
point
with
out that I stepped up to the plate, and I want to be the bigger person and let everyone know that was the case.
If this was whose line is it anyways, you would have been happy I'm on your team. Because I could have been like, what are you, wait, one more time, slow that down. But nope, not me.
Nope.
Hand up, I rule.
I love the post-game press conference. It's like, hey, he threw me the ball in the corner. I was trapped in a bad spot, but I got out of it. I would like to take responsibility for how bad a spot Pablo put me in before I made that shot anyway. I got another random question, guys. I'm walking in here and looking around, and who the hell is that?
What's Stugotz?
That's not Stugotz.
Not with that clean line.
Well,
Yeah,
no. That was a
clean
day
line.
that for Halloween he dressed up like Dan.
I don't believe you. You know who I think that is? I think that's Leroy. You trying to tell me that nose is a white man's nose?
That's a good question.
That's Leroy, y'all.
Look at his traps.
That's
when
look
have
at
you
me,
ever
Leroy.
seen Stugotz with those traps?
Look at me, Leroy.
Well, this is from the coloring book. Do you think anyone was like, I don't know who this is. I'm just gonna guess on the skin color.
I have no clue how you can argue that is not a black man who played baseball in the 70s, right? Like that's clearly a man who played baseball in the 70s, right?
Can we look up how many black guys in the MLB in the 70s were named Leroy? Because I feel like there was a lot. I feel like the name Leroy was probably at its height in the 70s for black men in America.
The super athletes used to go to baseball, and that kind of blows my mind to think about. We had this conversation before where there are lots of like incredible, outstanding, amazing, ridiculous athletes in sports that we've never really seen before. There was a time when baseball was what football is, and all the super athletes like, you know what I want to do? I want to play baseball.
It was the thing, man. That's where the money was, though.
Yeah.
You got to follow the money. Like Jackie Robinson could have probably been a Hall of Fame football player. He was like one of the best in the country. So on this side, it's like, oh, that's crazy. You chose baseball. Like, then no, that made all the sense in the world.
Speaking of show awards, Andrew Hawkins got all the damn awards. This man is on all the lists. He was on, what was it, The Athletic, New York Times, 50 under 40.
Yep.
And today announced another award. Did they actually give you a trophy for the SBJ one?
I think there's a banquet that comes, and then you get it at the banquet.
Don't say I think.
I don't know. I promise.
Don't fake humble me.
I
See,
promise I do not know.
I didn't love how Mike just pat himself on the back. Now I do.
Yeah.
Because it's better. Just be real. Just be real with
Hand up. I've had a great year.
I don't want to get a look at me, Leroy.
That's on me.
So it's better for you. I don't know. I'll figure it out. If it doesn't come, I'm gonna make my own trophy.
Is
there something wrong with that?
No. There's no way out of the look at me, Leroy, because you pretending like you got this great honor and just like, I don't know, I get so many of them, I can't keep up. I got banquets, I got no banquets. Some of them give me trophies, some of them don't. I'm just a man in this.
I'm very honored to be mentioned with some incredible names.
Name some of the names.
Some good
in the sports business world. I have not seen the list.
Because you don't even care enough to look at the list.
No,
my man don't even look at the list.
Accountable.
I'm working. I am locked in. It came out today. I got a text while I'm on this show that I'm on the list. I have not seen. I have no idea who else is on the list.
That is so cool.
But
So
it's just an honor to be nominated.
I'm just honored to be listed with all the obstacles that I've had to go through to get to this point. Mike, you understand.
I do.
At the buzzer at 39? Come on, man.
And sometimes it's weird to be honored, right? Because like I actually put in all this sweat equity years ago, and now this tree's all bearing fruit at the same time. I come off way more impressive than I actually am right now in this.
So
moment.
kudos to them for still seeing through that lens, Mike.
4-7 gang, you too.
4-7. 4-7 gang, we doing it, baby.
So you gonna have to give a speech? You say it's a banquet, so
I don't know. Nick, I literally have no idea how this works.
I got a question. Are you the type of guy that prepares a speech but pretends like it's not prepared? Or are you the type of guy who doesn't actually prepare a speech? Or are you a guy who pulls a paper out the pocket, unfold it, and hit him.
Or the phone.
I'm going to not prepare the speech, and then about 40 minutes before I speak, it just comes to me.
Gotcha.
That's how I am.
That's obnoxious.
No, it's not. It's how it's when I do my best work against the clock. I get some funny in there. I find the energy of the place. Feel okay. Make sure this is relatable. Get the people going a little bit. Quick, short, and sweet, and get out. You're not a fan? All right. Don't sit here. Don't give me the awkward silence.
Don't give me. That's being a bad teammate.
This is what you do? This is why you
No. I'm proud of you. I think you're an amazing talent. I'm happy you're here.
He does so much.
He does.
He really does.
Not as much as you, though, Mike.
No, he does. No, I mean, if anybody, it's a 4-7 game.
It's a 4-7 game. We're one and the same, me and Mike.
Apparently, y'all do too much. That's why y'all in the 4-7 game. Why don't you just shut y'all asses up and get there on time, sit your goofy ass in the back, 7 gang?
Only found one Leroy, first name Leroy, who's played in the 70s. His name is Leroy Stanton. He was a Met, a California Angel, and a Seattle Mariner.
Does he have a beard and look just like that guy on the red screen?
No beard.
What about the 80s?
I didn't see any from the 80s.
So it's the leading decade for Leroy's, like I said.
Yeah.
Most likely there will be Negro League players named Leroy.
A lot of Negro League players.
Was there any white Leroys?
Maybe that had last names. Probably Leroy. Probably. I'll look that up.
That would probably be Leroy.
Yeah.
Leroy. Yeah.
There's some country singer named Leroy Van Dyke.
Oh. Did he do the voiceover? No. Self shout out. Maybe that's why that pain came from. He knows what he's been through.
Not a lot of famous Leroys on this website.
Wow. I was in the break. I was in the container, and there was a fiery conversation. You guys mocked me earlier because I said that we got some hot Maryland talk coming, and you mocked me. But guess what I walked into the shipping container? You guys, Charlie and specifically, having a fiery conversation about Maryland. So
let's do it.
I actually think this topic is fascinating. We were talking about the NIL stuff and how there are changes to the where the payments are coming from and how it's going to be a rev share system. And this is a big story for you guys because Kevin Willard, the coach who just led Maryland to one of the strangest Sweet 16 runs imaginable because they had the buzzer beater from Derek Queen, the Crab Five, they were this fun team. He was out. He was out like a week and a half before that. He started.
It's also a travel.
Yep. Yeah.
Hater.
It was a travel.
He didn't call it.
I'm at that age
Not
now where I can't watch any basketball games. I'm like, it's a travel.
It wasn't
It's a travel.
It wasn't a travel. It was beautiful.
It's a carry. It's a travel.
It's not. It's a terrible age.
Yeah.
It's a bad age.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
When we get to the Tet McMillan conversation, I think I'm going to join you at that terrible age. But anyway, Charlie, tell me why my school is bad.
Your coach was publicly flirting with Villanova, has now taken the job to be the Villanova.
So he's not my coach.
You're no longer your coach. Your former coach had taken the job at Villanova. Just because Maryland is a Big Ten school, Villanova's in the Big East, Villanova is not going to spend NIL money on football. There will be a higher percentage of their revenue share that goes to the basketball program, which sets up a really interesting thing of what's going to happen with this ACC, with these ACC schools. Are they going to choose football or basketball? Are they going to be trying to get poached by the SEC or other conferences or the Big Ten? Maryland's in a funny spot with this because this is a basketball school that is trying to now masquerade as a football school.
Wow. They're not trying to match. So the thing is, in the stories pointed out that Maryland spends the second most money of anybody in the Big Ten and top 10 in the country on basketball. So like the idea that Willard was arguing that Maryland was shortchanging him, I think that if anyone had an argument that it was getting shortchanged, it'd be the football team, right?
I think you're on it, Dominique. I don't understand this. And plus, there's more rev to share inside the Big Ten. They got that big-time football money coming into there. So it's very curious. I'm sure he was made a ton of promises, and Villanova's won national championships more recently, certainly, than Maryland. And that's what they have going on for them. That school is synonymous with its men's basketball program. So I understand why he might get more commitments from that. There's also a little bit of an element to like, let me reset that clock. In this whole new age of college basketball, I'd rather be starting fresh at Villanova and have that job security now that I just raise expectations here. But coaches like to do this thing where they complain about the resources, and the resources are so ambiguous because they're kind of like closely guarded state secrets that you can just kind of conveniently use this as an excuse. No one one really checks you on that, like Jim Larinaga.
There we go. I got it. I was confused why Mike Ryan was into this
I
Maryland
did some of
topic.
it on Friday, but we
I
just
had this conversation.
Yeah, we did this on Friday, but we let Jim Larinaga and Leonard Hamilton join us in our content making, and we just NIL portal, like, we hear you. That must be difficult for someone of your age. And then no one realizes, like, he didn't lose anybody until they started sucking. Yeah. Like, we had the most talented team ever after we went to the Final Four. Yeah, we lost 2 guys to the NBA that weren't first-round picks, and we replaced them with Matt Cleveland, a guy from FSU that Coach Larinaga really wanted, and a first-round draft pick that's one of the better rookies in the NBA right now, Keyshawn George. So that was the most talented Miami team ever, and they fell on their face. And then the following year, we got him a top 3 recruit in the nation, and he quit midway through the year.
Hand up, I shouldn't have brought up this topic to talk about Miami basketball. I'm
well,
sorry.
Well, this is why my Uber rating is low.
He's like, and this right here. But we give him a top 3 recruit.
Tony Bennett did the same thing, and it's like, oh well, you're just quitting. You're quitting.
That's not accountability.
Because the game's changing, and you're just like, it's a mess. What you're saying is, no, I can't acclimate. I have a limited skill set.
I'll get us back to Maryland. I have a stat of the day.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Way too long.
That's the short version.
Yeah.
Let me remind people that Stat of the Day is brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon. Game Day's #1 pour. Evan Williams Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Bardstown, Kentucky. 43 to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. We're talking about Kevin Willard, former Maryland coach, just headed off to Villanova. This marks the first time that a Maryland head basketball coach has left for another school. Every other time in the program's 102-year history, their coach has either been fired or retired.
Oh,
that's a good stat.
So did we fire Bear Bryant?
No.
I mean, we had to, right?
No.
I think we did.
Basketball, I think they're talking about.
So it's not all sports?
No, just basketball.
Just
This
basketball.
program, odd program.
Yeah. Gary
They're
Williams.
better for it.
It is a great program, especially the leadership there at the program is fantastic, man.
Okay, I just think whatever they're doing with RevShare, it's in good hands. So if they've made and I think it was probably more team. They knew that this guy can't hang. Let's go get better, right? You know, no bias there. Just up straight down the middle is how I shoot it. That's how I end up on those lists, just so you guys know.
The Kevin Willard stuff is interesting because he was not a crazy successful coach, but the opportunity came and he jumped ship. So I'm never going to begrudge anybody for moving on to a different opportunity or to what they believe is a better opportunity. But it was weird the way that he did it, I thought, because first he's doing press conferences where he's leaking that the AD is going to leave, and he's kind of also taking shots at the institution for not paying for him and his team to stay in New York and celebrate Christmas together. And he's arguing that the rev share is not favorable when it actually appears the reporting suggests that the rev share is favorable for him. Then he skips a Sweet 16 dinner with his team where he's supposed to go celebrate with them while they're on a run to Sweet 16, obviously because he had some understanding with Villanova. It just is a weird way to go about things, but I guess at a certain point, more than anyone else should understand and know that college football or college sports is gross and getting grosser, and all the standards that we used to pretend to hold ourselves to, we don't even pretend anymore. And it's just scary for the future.
It's always been gross, though. When did it get gross?
I think we moved the veil, I guess, which I guess is better. We can see the gross.
I kind of think that people started feeling outwardly that this is gross when the players got to do what the coaches got to do the entire time. And then it kind of held up a different line. And then the coaches were like, hey, that's unfair. That's not cool that they can do that. We're supposed to be the only ones that get away with that.
So how does that relate to Miami?
I mean, it can if you want to read into it.
Why did you ask him that?
Why would you ask that question to my 4.7 ganger?
I would say that racism.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say it all
Yes.
it all goes back to racism, because once the black teenagers started making millions of dollars and being able to say, hey, no, I want to go to your school. No, I actually want to go to this other school. Why? For more money. Wait, you can't do that. We can do that. You can't do that. You're a black teenager. And I think that's where it actually changed, if we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Are you talking about the music group, Young Black Teenagers, or is that?
That was actually mostly white kids. It wasn't DJ Scribble.
I think they were all white kids.
Yeah.
From the MTV Raps trading card I found in my mom's house.
Tap the bottle, twist the cap.
There it is,
DJ,
baby.
that's where Scribble was from.
So I am very biased on the Maryland sports. Obviously, Neek is biased. He's the most biased on this topic. But my cousin is the executive director of RevShare and general manager of Maryland Athletics.
Did he get on the 50 under 40 list?
He's over 40. He's an older cousin. But I got to be honest and say I'm completely biased. I have no idea what the situation is going on there, but I'm in support of whatever he is doing. Right. And I feel like we should be able to talk more about our biases in sports media.
Yeah, we all have biases. We should be clear and outspoken about those biases. But
am I the only one that's pointed out the racism, though?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Give him a look at Leroy. That's what he wants. I like how you play your audience, too. I didn't feed into it because I'm like, all right, I like what you're doing, 4.7. I mean, you did it. You know how to read the room.
He's a Louis.
But he's also biased.
But he's talking about
against.
racism.
No. I'm not.
No?
I'm biased against the NCAA, like, no doubt. I've been very public, but I've always been anti-NCAA because of my very valid persecution complex.
Okay, there's where it comes in.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break, but before we do, Andrew, does your cousin's name start with an A?
This is going to be even worse. All right, real quick. This is a real quick story. My cousin's name is G-Roy, okay? But he's a junior.
Huh?
Okay, his name is G-Roy. He's a junior, G-Roy Jr. His father, who is G-Roy, has a twin brother. Guess what his twin brother's name is? Leroy.
Evidence. Start listening. Watch the 60 Minutes episode with Commander Fravor and Dietrich was her name, another fighter pilot that saw the Tic Tac. Look at the releases that I put out. Watch the interviews I did on CNN. Watch and listen and try to understand the evidence. Now, I have just started dropping UFO bombs, right? I have been known or become known as somebody that obtains and releases as a journalist what was once classified, but the moment I make it public, it's unclassified because there's no designation, images of UFOs filmed by our military. And I'm telling you, I've just started. So pay attention, have conversations, do podcasts like you're doing, and maybe write some people, some representatives, and say, hey, I actually want to know what's up. What's up with UFOs?
Do you have a best theory on what's happening right now in the news where the government is shooting stuff down and doesn't know what it is that it's shooting down, or claims that it doesn't know and won't reveal what it's shooting down?
Well, I don't know, a best theory. There's probably smarter people that got better theories than me, but here's the deal. My theory is just my observation. My observation is that I've looked at this for many years, and I talk with people on the Hill, in the Pentagon, in every agency you can imagine. I have people that inform me as a journalist. What I know is that this is a charade, that we know that these objects are always there, that we just change the settings on our radar because we don't want to see these objects because they don't have anything to do with flight safety. But then when you adjust that radar system and you get NORAD looking at this, they're everywhere, all the time, ubiquitous across the globe, not a US issue. It's everywhere. So what we're seeing now is kind of comical. We're like shooting at balloons with missiles that we know are Chinese reconnaissance balloons. Guess what? Chinese reconnaissance balloons, just like this one, been floating over our skies for more than 50 years. So why the theatrics? Why do we shoot a missile at it and barely hit it, by the way? Lower right, crazy. So here's the deal. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this. All I know is that it's a story that got picked up. And if you know anything about media, it's pretty easy to get a story picked up if you're the Pentagon. So what's the point? Is it acclamation? No, they're going to say it's balloons. because it is balloons. And I said that the day this started, what the real issue is, nobody wants you to know. And the real issue is that there's a technological nation or a technological entity that are making craft that are far beyond our knowledge. And we've been trying to reverse engineer them, and we can't. And we can't because of the material science. Until we learn how to replicate the physical materials, which would require atomic layering in zero gravity, as strange as that sounds, we're never going to get anywhere. But everybody's afraid that some other nation is going to figure what they call a derivative technology from the technologies that we have been reverse engineering.
Thank you, Jeremy. Again, the name of the podcast is Weaponized. I feel like we should all say it together in a way that brings attention to the podcast. Weaponize. Weaponize.
Weaponize your curiosity.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Weaponize.
Okay, and Chris, open your eyes, man.
No.
It's good. It's good. Stay that way.
We should go to the kook meter.
Yeah,
we have to.
You're a very moderate kook.
Right.
Like your kook level's not that high. You came on. You're very.
Oh, I'm way saner than you crazy-looking guy. But here's the deal.
The beard.
We can use those words and we can point fingers and we can say that people aren't until you look at the facts. So there you go.
Jack.
Thank you, Jeremy, and also thank you, you crazy-looking guy.
He was complimenting you. I mean,
yeah, look, you're all really handsome. I don't know if this is just audio or it's visual, but you're all really handsome. So you got that going for you, and that's nice, as they say in Caddyshack. But you really got to up your game on UFOs.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you, sir.
we all do.
Dan and David Sampson play Would You Attend the Funeral?
It is everyone's new favorite game. The premiere was unreal. The feedback, incredible.
Yes.
It is time to play Would You Attend Their Funeral? As always, I am your host, Mike Ryan Ruiz. I am joined by Dan Le Batard and David Sampson, our contestants. The game is pretty easy. I throw out a name and I find out whether the contestant would attend their funeral. That's pretty it. It is dark, but isn't this music happy? First up on today's edition of Would You Attend Their Funeral, Dan Le Batard. Dan, first off, how you doing today? Nice to meet you. It says here you're a sports writer from Miami. That's a fun job, isn't it?
Avid river rafter.
Dan,
He actually did write something recently. That was pretty good, Dan.
Thank you,
we'll get to David in a second. Dan, would you attend Mitch Albom's funeral?
Oh, wow. Detroit, too, probably.
Well,
yeah.
This is why this game is.
You're allowed one follow-up, and only if that question is a funeral in Detroit, to which I say yes.
This is one of the many reasons why this is the greatest game show ever invented. And it's unfair that Mike knows me this way.
Sounds like a no.
Because he's just picking people who are like right on the line of where it is.
That's the point of the game.
The beauty.
We back, and we are joined by an incredible guest, a legend, the legendary caddy, Steve Williams. He's here to promote his book, Together We Roar, alongside Tiger for his epic 12-year, 13-major run. It comes out on April 1st. Buy it as a gift for somebody coming up for whatever holiday you want. Steve, thank you so much for joining us, man. I'm excited to have you. You're a legend.
Well, thanks very much. It's nice to be on your show, guys.
All right, so I want to start with, we're going to get to all the great golf stories that I'm sure you're in your book. You're not going to give away all the best ones, so people have to buy it. But I had a random question as I was thinking. Normally, people who work in sports are great athletes themselves also. Did you grow up playing a sport other than golf?
Yeah, I was a fanatical rugby player. You know, I'm from New Zealand, and rugby's our national sport. Everyone, when they're a kid growing up here, wants to be an All Black, and I was no different to that.
Yeah, me too. When I was growing up, all I wanted to be was black too, Stevie. So you are obviously phenomenally tough guy. Any injuries from your rugby career or gruesome hits?
No, not I think I might have lost a couple of teeth before it was mandatory to wear a mouth guard, but no, nothing too serious. I played rugby through my early college days, and then obviously started caddying at a young age. But yeah, rugby's a big game here in New Zealand. I'm not sure if you know much about it,
We're well aware of rugby being a popular game in New Zealand. We steal some of your rugby athletes occasionally to come play our American football on occasion, and I've played rugby with some friends. It's a very violent game, but it's also very fun, and it's pretty straightforward.
Pure football.
It is
it's
pure.
Basically, it's like a pure version of American football is rugby.
Agreed. So, all right, the book. What in the book? Why'd you look at me like that?
You're talking. I gotta
no,
look at
because you said it's pure football. I was like, oh, Hawk about to go somewhere with this.
Oh, okay.
Then he just looked back at me.
No. I'm just a big rugby fan.
All right. Who in the tour right now could you beat? Don't get scared. I know you watch golf and you look up and you're like, hey, I can beat some of these dudes. Who? Name them. Name some names, Steve.
No. How do you mean you can beat some of these dudes?
Oh, I mean in golf. Like, it's somebody on the tour you could beat.
Oh, look, I mean, anybody that's good enough to get their PGA Tour card and play on any kind of professional circuit, for every player that's out there playing, trying to make a living at golf, there's hundreds of other players that don't make it. It's a very competitive game, and to be at an elite level in golf, it's I don't think the average person would realize how much a player puts in and how much time goes into making it on the tour. It's
Let me rephrase
they're all
it,
great
because you're
players.
a very tough rugby man, and what you wanted me to ask is, who on the tour could you beat? You could beat one of them up, right? Somebody name one of them that you want to square up with, and you could catch them, because you're tougher than a golfer, right? You're tougher than all the golfers.
Oh, look, I guess me and Phil Mickelson could probably square off one day. It'd be
That's a great answer.
Yeah. I remember you called Phil a prick. You want to see him in the streets? We'd arrange this. We can get a little Netflix pay-per-view. Let's get this money, Steve. Let's get this money.
Book sales through the roof.
Oh yeah, the book sales are definitely through the roof.
Come
on. So Tiger's most recent injury. I'm sure that all of us, like, we have accepted that Tiger is well past his prime. The recent injuries are concerning. What are the chances that we can see another great run from Tiger? Obviously not an extended run, but another good tournament, another good major, anything from Tiger. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. My personal belief is that he won't give up the dream of trying to win another major championship until the time comes when he knows it's not a possibility. So in order for him to play in a major championship and be competitive, he needs to have his body allow his body to be healed and to the point where he can practice, so that when he stands on the first tee of a major championship, he knows he's fully fit and he can play 72 holes without any ailment, and then he can compete. So Tiger's an incredible competitor, and I think he's proud of all the records he's got. I think one record he'd like to add to is winning a major championship at 50 years and older. Right. Phil Mickelson's proven that you can do that, and there's been another number of other players that have won majors late in their career. So Tiger's, I don't think he's given up the dream of doing that, and until such point where that dream's gone, where he believes he can't compete and win a major championship, I think he'll try and keep playing. So hopefully we haven't seen the last of Tiger. I mean, it'll be a phenomenal story if he could come back and get himself ready where he could play in a major championship, not only play, but give it a chance to win.
At one point, you and Tiger didn't have the greatest relationship. It sounds as if you guys you feel better about that. But the real question is, could you whip Tiger's ass at one point?
When I went to work with Tiger, I considered myself to be reasonably fit, and he gave me a whole different perspective of what being fit was. I got
it. Yeah, you could.
He put me through some rigorous workouts, and sometimes I had to say, "Look, I'm done now, Tiger. I'll meet you in the car when you're finished." He's a pretty strong dude.
Together We Roar. You guys need to buy it, order it. It comes out on April 1st, 2025, alongside Tiger, his epic 12-year, 13 majors run. Chris, what you got?
Steve, do you find yourself caddying off the course where you're like a friend is walking down a hill and you're like, this hill breaks a little to the right? and there's like a little bump there that you got to avoid.
Look, when you've caddied for as long as I've caddied, I guess it's just kind of ingrained in you. Basically, I started as a kid at my local golf course here in New Zealand, sort of 8 or 9 years old, caddying every single weekend, 36 holes a day, to the point where, and then I caddied for 40 plus years on the tour. So it's something that you'll always be inclined to view things from a caddy's perspective, and not from a player's perspective, I guess.
You're like in an Uber, and you're like, you should have made a left there. I think that lane's a little better than this one. What are you doing in the middle lane here?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Is it possible that you could look up your Uber rating? Is that too much to ask? Is that too difficult? We had to go through all of our people in our room today to see who had the best Uber rating. Is that something that you think you could manage?
Well, I think you'd have to fair to say it's a 0 because I've never used an Uber. So,
private car.
Yeah, big money. I ain't mess with no Ubers. I got a personal driver. I see you, Steve.
I drive myself everywhere, haven't had the pleasure of had to use an Uber yet. And if I have used one, my wife would have booked it for me because I don't carry apps on my phone, so I'm a bit old school.
Steve, where would most likely a heated interaction between you and you and Tiger at the peak of you working with him, like a heated exchange, where would that take place?
Well, we only really had one heated exchange, and it was at Augusta in 2003. Tiger got to the third hole at Augusta. The tee was positioned at the front of the tee, which made it possible where you could drive the green. And I'd been out on the course earlier that morning and told them on the practice fairway that they'd moved the tee up on the third hole. So sometimes the third hole is an iron off the tee to keep it short of the bunkers, and sometimes you hit a driver to get over the bunkers, depending on where the wind is and where the hole location is. But on this particular day, the tee was moved up, so the bunkers weren't in play. There's no doubt in my mind it was a driver. He didn't like the play. I couldn't see why he didn't like the play. I talked him into it. He hit an absolute shit shot, and fanned it way out to the right, and eventually made a bogey on a hole that you should make 3-4 at the worst, and it possibly stop the momentum that he had after starting with 4-4, and didn't do any good in the tournament in the end. And he carried on like an absolute pork chop for the next few holes, and like a little sour baby, whatever. And then on the ninth hole, I just absolutely let it rip. It's the first time I'd done that since I started with him. Just gave him an absolute mouthful and a bollocking about his behaviour and the way he was carrying on, and that was all good. And then when we completed the round, he said, "Hey, thanks very much for the pep talk up 9 and everything." So, but we got on like a house on fire when I was working for him. I think that was the only time that we ever had any kind of really heated argument. It was unfortunate. It was during the round of a major championship, but when I came up the 18th hole, I thought, well, this might be the last time I'm going to Tiger. He either liked it or what I said, or he absolutely hated what I said. So, he was very good about it. So we laughed about that for a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think is the best quality that you bring, or the most value that you brought as a caddy? Was it the psychological part of it, or was it just the clubs? Or I guess I should just let you answer.
Just basically not afraid to voice your opinion. I'm a straight up sort of bloke, and when there's something a lot on the line, not scared to voice your opinion, and try and sway a player your way, or whatever it might be. But just basically, I think what you'll find the common trait amongst all the best caddies are guys that are prepared to stand up and not be afraid to be wrong. Obviously, when it comes down to the crux of major championships and golf tournaments and there's a lot on the line. It's very easy just to be what we call a yes man and just agree with a player, because some caddies, are afraid to be wrong, but you can't ever be afraid to be wrong. If you can speak up and voice your opinion, you're going to be successful.
Name them. Who the yes men? Call them out.
No, you don't call out your workmates, that's for sure. But
that's news.
We call them out around here. Stevie, I stumbled over a question. I guarantee when we let you go, all my workmates, we are going to get along like a house on fire in this mother. Anyway, Chris, what'd you have?
I want to know what you think of Bubba Watson saying that Scheffler in 2024 was better than Tiger in 2000.
Well, I think that's a staggering statement to make. Look, if a player won 3 major championships and no other tournaments, and a player won 1 major championship in 20 tournaments, the guy that's won 3 major championships gets the nod in everybody's book. So I don't know what he was basing that on, but you know, I guess it's above a comment. Some guys are looking for some attention. I think that's probably what he was doing here. You know, like Bubba's fallen off the radar, and he's probably looking for a bit of attention here. But look, you know, like Scotty Scheffler had an incredible year in 2024. Played unbelievable golf, you know, and somewhat similar to some of the years that Tiger put together. But arguably, you can't bet against a guy that won 3 major championships in 1 year, and also in the fashion that he did it. If you look at the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach and the Open Championship at St Andrews, not only were they victories, one was by 15 shots and one was by 7 shots. So they were memorable tournaments with breaking scoring records in both of them. So. Yeah, I'm not sure whether Bubba was confusing 2000 with maybe another year.
What do you think about the TGL?
The which?
TGL. Have you been watching that all? The
down here in New Zealand, there's no way to watch that. So I haven't seen any of it. No, I can't answer that question. I haven't followed any of it. So yeah.
If you had to pick one thing that made Tiger so much more dominant than the next guy, his hands, his mental toughness, what would you say made Tiger so much better than everybody else in his prime?
Oh, look, I think it's just his desire. I mean, his desire to be the best that he could be, and you know, be the greatest player. You know, a lot of people grow up when they're youngsters and they want to be the best player in the world, and they're going to put a lot of effort in. But when you actually get onto the tour and realize what it takes to be the best player, it can sway your vision on how you're thinking about that. But just his continual desire. When pro athletes, as we all know and everyone's aware, they make a lot of money, and sometimes when they get a lot of
Sorry, I hit a button by mistake, Steve.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about this after.
I tried to move the microphone.
House on fire.
Yeah, they're going to call me out afterwards. Try to move the microphone, slap the button. I'm sorry, Steve. I ruined this interview.
That was terrible.
That was horrible. Steve, please continue.
That was really bad, Steve. I'm sorry.
You chunked it.
This is why
I think what happens in golf is that there's a lot of players that have, you know, a huge amount of talent, and when they get a huge amount of success, there's a lot of wealth comes around that, and when you get a lot of wealth, there becomes a lot of toys that come around, and whether it be a fishing boat, a private plane, fast cars, whatever it might be. And sometimes I think some of the guys that are capable of playing at the same level that Tiger did, they just take their foot off the gas a little bit, because the niceties that come with your success take away some of the opportunity to practice as hard, because you've got other things other toys to play with and so forth. But yeah, Tiger's just his desire and work ethic to continue to be the best player that he could be, and never had any distractions that took away from him trying to be. That's, you know, he's just a phenomenal worker and continued to work hard throughout his career to be the best player he could. And despite all his success and fame and wealth and that, nothing changed his vision on trying to be the greatest player that's ever played the game.
All right, I'm ordering my book now, as not only because I want to order it and can't wait to read it, but because I would like to apologize for messing up the interview with a button press. Together We Roar alongside Tiger for his epic 12-year run, available April 1st. What you got, Chris?
What's the golf tip that you hear on the range where you know somebody's faking it, and you know this person has no idea what they're actually talking about? And is it when someone says, "Oh, you lifted your head"?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about going to the driving range with your mates and that is certainly a common thing to hear. Oh, you lifted your head, but oh, look, you know, there's so many moving parts to a golf swing and that, and there's so many. Everybody's different in that, and everybody swings the club differently, and there's so many. Everybody has all different faults in that. But you know, your common player that plays golf, your average player that plays golf and doesn't play very often, the biggest mistake they make is they aim to the right and they come over the ball, which means, you know, because they're aiming right and they're trying to hit it left of where they're aiming at, what they do, they come over it and they slice it. So, you know, you guys probably play golf and you understand what a slice is, and, you know, your common golfer that doesn't play a lot slices the ball, and, you know, that's probably the most common thing you see.
Chris is just trying to get his golf game better. So anyway, thanks a lot, Steve. Make sure everyone orders the book coming out April 1st. Together We Roar. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good to be on your show, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you,
Steve.